Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, a twice-a-week sports podcast where I, your host TJ, am accompanied here with the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Welcome to the show. Welcome. For those of you who are new, again, this is a twice-a-week sports podcast that happens every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the show, we invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. We talk everything sports on this podcast. We talk NFL, college football. When college basketball rolls around, obviously that too. We talk NHL, NBA action, MLB action, Grumpy, European football, World Cup right around the corner. Again, we talk anything and everything sports on the show. Today, we've got a lot to talk about, Grump, as it seems like every single week, anytime football season is around. We'll talk a little bit about this week's NFL action, some college football upsets as well in the mix, and a huge week of top 25 teams facing off this upcoming Saturday, Grumpy. The investigation launched into the questionable concussion for Tua Tagovailoa. We'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll get you to weigh in on what you think happened. Also, Grump, Albert Pujols, 700 career home runs. One of 4 MLBers to ever do it. He joins the list, Grumpy. So we'll talk a little bit about Albert Pujols's I guess we'll talk a little bit about his impact on the game and his legacy as well, Grump.
Yeah. It's funny. You ever notice when these guys get really close to breaking a record, man, they just kind of turn it on. It's like everything's clicking for them pretty much all the time. I mean, he's hit a lot of home runs in the last month, Albert Pujols.
Oh, yeah. He's really turned it on, too. It was just like, oh, my God. I was just kind of shocked as well. I mean, like, he's obviously at this age of his career, he's nowhere near what he used to be, but he's really had a fantastic September and even a really good August as well.
Yeah. Hey, steroids are a wonderful drug.
Oh, Grumpy, man. Grumpy. Come on. We're going to talk. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. I think it's funny, right? You talk about all the guys, you talk about how much Barry Bonds is vilified. I just wonder if Pujols will ever get that type of I wonder if they'll be as dubious with Albert Pujols as they were with Barry Bonds.
No. Select few.
Tisk, just a select few. But there's a lot to talk about today, Grumpy. Let's take a little bit of a dive into some NFL action. The 12 noon Grumpy spot, I mean, had some fantastic games. I'm sorry, the 1 o'clock spot had some fantastic games, Grump.
They did. I don't know. You know, it's funny. And it's probably just me being a conspiracy theorist. How is it that so many games come down to the last possession or the last play to determine a winner? You ever notice? If a team's trailing and right at the last play, they have a chance to score a touchdown or hit a field goal to win a game or go to overtime. Just so many games are so close. The conspiracy theorist to me says, what's going on there?
Well, it's just, I mean, that's pretty much across the board. That's all athletics. People could say and make the argument, maybe a whole bunch of teams have really narrowed the gap. The difference between the haves and the have-nots across sports is not, the disparity is not that wide.
Okay. I just think it's.
What are you talking about in specific, Grump? Let me ask you this.
Detroit, Minnesota. Kansas City, Indianapolis. Chicago, Houston. Miami, Buffalo. What were the other game? Carolina, New Orleans. I mean, all those came down like the last play. I mean, think about it. That's
the NFL loves the tight games. They love the close games. And I mean, like even the Colts were another one of those teams that scored right at the end as well. Okay, you did say that.
Colts and Chiefs,
yeah, the Bears too. Did you mention Bears?
Yep.
Yeah,
I mentioned 5 games. And probably just because I forgot the other game. The Jets and Cincinnati was not super close. No. New England and Baltimore was close right to like 5 minutes to go in the game. I mean, it's just I just find it funny that the games are so close, so late, with so many of them coming down to like the last play or the last 30 seconds of a game. How does that happen? In a game of football, no less.
Why are you bitching? Are you bitching because
I'm not
lost? Is that why you're bitching?
I'm not complaining.
Yes.
I'm just saying that so many games, and the Tampa Bay Green Bay game, absolutely. Again, nobody did anything the whole game, and then it comes down to the last 10 seconds.
Drive is what you're looking for, Grumpy. The last drive, they move down the field, they score, they don't get the 2-point conversion. But that's why you bring that up, because you're a Tampa fan. You're a little pissy that day.
I said to the warden earlier, I said, look at how many of these games come down to the last play or the last 30 seconds. The Detroit Minnesota game. How the hell did Minnesota win that game? Detroit's going for a field goal. They put them up by 6 points with 1:10 to go. They miss. They drive down. They score a touch, or they get a field goal. Then they get a touchdown. It's crazy. And then
you just jumbled the whole shit up. But yes, so what happens? They missed that field goal. Then the Vikings proceeded to score a touchdown, and the Detroit Lions were not able to score again.
They drive right down the field, and he throws an interception at the 5-yard line to end the game. Okay. Like I said, every game is close. Chicago, last second field goal. Indianapolis, last 20 seconds touchdown. It's so many of these games come down to like the last 30 seconds. It's just football doesn't seem like that type of game like basketball is. It's crazy.
I don't know why you start off the conversation like this today, Grumpy.
I just wonder if the NFL is doing something to make sure these games come down to the last couple of minutes for TV ratings.
What makes you think that they do that? Give me examples.
I'm just saying it's really coincidental that so many games all of a sudden come down to like the last.
It was like that last year too, and the year before that.
I don't know. It seems like even more now. That's just like I said, it's a conspiracy theory thing with me.
Yeah, okay. Recency bias is what that is called, Grumpy. You've got some recency bias that you don't remember all the other games that have come close before, and these are the only ones you remember. I will say there's a lot of games that come close right down to the wire, but it makes entertaining football to watch.
Without a doubt. I don't
know why you're complaining.
I'm not complaining.
It sounds like you are. It sounds like you're trying to docket a complaint as to why are all these games so close? So I need to get to the bottom. What is this? You Nancy Drew over here, Grumpy, trying to get to the bottom of it.
I'm one of the Hardy Boys, first of all. You can be Nancy Drew.
No, you're Nancy Drew, Grumpy. You're a Nancy Drew. You're only working there by yourself, Grumpy, so you're Nancy Drew.
But like I said, for me, it's like, I don't know. It's not always been like this. Every game, pretty much, or 75 to 80% of the games come down to like last series. It's crazy. That's what the NFL wants, of course. They want parity. They want to make sure those revenues keep going up. I'm just wondering if something's happening. That's all. I'm not complaining.
Thanks so much for that start, Grumpy. Here's the thing. I think you're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. I think it's just a little bit more applicable for you today, just as I mentioned, because you're a Tampa Bay fan, maybe butthurt as you are. But, that's what I think about the situation. I wanted to talk a little bit about the games, right? I think the biggest game, at least for that early spot, the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins, Grump. You want to talk about an interesting game where, we had talked a little bit about it. These teams that go and play Miami and they play in that hot temperature. I think they said it was like 90 plus degrees with 70% humidity. Buffalo just, towards the end, they just kind of the wheels started to fall off with all the injuries that didn't help, and yikes.
They had so many injuries to the big fat linemen. Seriously, I think they lost 2 right tackles in this game today, a center and a guard. And I know at the end they lost 3 starting offensive linemen due to cramps. Diggs was on and off the field with cramps. I'll tell you what, in September, home field for the Miami Dolphins, particularly the early games for all the Florida teams, Tampa too. Now, of course, that was the late game, so it cooled off. But those teams up north really struggle in September going up. They can't handle that. And I think I mentioned to you earlier today, I said, watch out for Buffalo at the end. Buffalo should have won that game.
You know what it's like? It's like when these West Coast teams travel to the East Coast and play the early game slot. They always struggle because of the time difference. Just like when you've got that heat, sometimes these teams up north are not familiar there with that, Grump.
True. I agree.
Yes. So, I wanted to talk a little bit specifically about that game, Grumpy, not just blow over it. I mean, like this, right? This is a big game when you talk about it. These are both two teams that are playoff caliber teams. These are teams that you put as favorites to make pushes and runs in the postseason. They're both in the same division. They're going to be fighting each other. I mean, Dolphins now moved to 3-0, and the Buffalo Bills, who've had a very, very tough schedule these first three games, are now 2-1. Miami does squeak it out at the end. I will tell you, again, not impressed as much as I would hope to with Miami's offense. Their defense showed up in a big way today. I know what they allowed 400 passing yards, but when it mattered, you saw sacks, you saw QB pressures, you saw pressure. I mean, strip sack fumbles. You saw a lot out of that Miami defense this week, where last week I think they struggled big time defensively.
The problem with Buffalo, if there is, to me, if I'm a Buffalo fan, I'm not even concerned with all the guys they had out going into this game and that they lost during the game. They still should have won it. I mean, the first touchdown by Miami, Josh Allen fumbles the ball because Miami had done nothing on offense. He fumbles the ball. They retrieve it inside the 10, and they punch it in for a touchdown. Then Tyler Bass, who hadn't missed a kick in forever, they made sure they told you that. I mean, just absolutely shanks 30-something yarder that would have cemented that game away for the most part, put them up by 6. Then they had Miami stopped. Jalen Waddle makes 2 catches for like 75 yards on 2 plays. Otherwise, they did nothing. Hey, let's give Miami credit, though, right? They did score. They took the lead. But again, coaching. You need to tell your wide receivers. They should know. They had 18 seconds left.
Okay. You're jumping all over the place.
Okay.
But yes, we could go ahead if you want to jump to McKenzie's play. We could go ahead and jump to that, Grumpy. I figured you're going to talk about, I don't know, the big story, which was there's an investigation launched, and I thought you were going to transition this investigation.
I thought you were going to talk about the game first. You can talk about the investigation after the game.
Okay, well, that had a big part of the game, Grumpy. But anyway, sure, we could go ahead and do that. Go ahead and talk about McKenzie. I'll pull that clip up.
18 seconds left, no timeouts. You really, all right, if you want to use the middle of the field, you got to go down as a wide receiver so your team can get up and spike it. He catches the ball at the hash and starts running around. All right, are we going to roll it here?
Jesus Christ, Grumpy, okay. Did you not hear me? I said, I'll get it, and I'll get it going for you, buddy. God almighty.
Again, go down. Go down. You're never going to make the sidelines. Never. Just go down. Spike the ball, live for another play. And they never got it off. I mean,
well, dude, the officials, too. Can we talk? The same exact shit I had the issue with in Dallas. The officials, fat, lazy officials, unable to get unable to spot the ball and put it down there for them. Exactly. Right? They had 6 seconds they could have done that in. They couldn't spot the ball. Look at where the freaking side judge is. The side judge isn't even lined up when they're spotting this thing yet. You're just kind of like, oh, another one of these situations. And here's the thing. No guarantee Tyler Bass even puts that field goal in. It's a long kick. But you're right. McKenzie starts dancing around over here. I mean, my gosh. And think about this, though. Look at Miami's defense. And this Buffalo offensive line was just gassed by the end of the game.
They were missing 3. They were playing streeties at the end of the game. They were playing street. Like I said, if you're rooting for Buffalo, no concern about Miami at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
Miami will never beat Buffalo in Buffalo or in the postseason. No shot. They had so many guys hurt coming into this game and lost so many guys during the game. I mean, but let's give Miami credit. They got the W. Shit, man.
It's going to be real. You know what it's like? I don't give credit for shitty wins. Straight up. I do not give credit for shitty wins. It's like if Georgia beats Kennesaw State or Kent State. I'm not saying, hey, good job on beating Kent State, even though it was an ugly. Hey, Michigan, good job on beating. It's surviving and advancing. You're not going to see me highlighting wins like that. It was a win that I think that, they got help. They got benefited at a certain time. The biggest item I was impressed with that Miami team was the defense.
That's what I was going to say.
Shit, the defensive line, the damn corners. I know they gave up 400 yards passing, but man, oh man, the defense stepped up. I think that was the best performance by the Miami defense so far this season. That was one of their strong points all last year and even the year before. And they've struggled to start the season. I think that looks very good. I do not think they played a well overall game. Simple as that.
They were aided by the heat. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, Buffalo had 1st and goal from the 2, and they couldn't punch it in.
Yep.
Their lack of a running game, of a real running game, hurts them.
Yes.
They struggle, and that's the one Achilles heel for Buffalo is 3rd and short, 4th and short, 4th
Yep.
and 1. They get no push, or they don't have the running back who can get them that yard when they need it. It's Josh Allen or nothing. And so they go 4 downs, don't score. You figure, okay, Miami is going to get out of this. Mike McDaniel.
He sucks.
Yes.
I know the players love him. Good for him. I just look at how, like, you saw the challenge flag thrown early on in the game. I'm like, holy shit, buddy. I'm like, I guess you don't go to heaven, right? If the extra challenges that you have at the end of the game. But I'm like, it was a waste of a challenge flag. He tried to challenge a penalty or a potential pass. And I'm like, God almighty. The guy just frivolously throws the challenge flag. I think in-game calls and in-game adjustments, not necessarily the guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Again, when I say that players win games, coaches lose them, this shouldn't even have been a situation where they had to worry about McKenzie going down. Buffalo has 2 timeouts after they stop them with 1:40-something on the clock. 2 timeouts. They don't have 3. So Miami runs on 1st down, runs on 2nd down. Buffalo's out of timeouts. There's 1:30-something on the clock. What should you do on that play? Run the ball again. Make the clock run down. Yeah. Then you can take your safety, even if you want to take it on purpose. The guy kicks the ball, a butt kick, not a butt fumble, a butt punt.
A butt punt. Grumpy.
Gives the 2, and now they get the ball back with 1:28 to go. And okay, that never should have happened because McDaniel calls a pass on 3rd down. Know the time and situation that you're in.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I thought it was dumb. All he did was give the chance for the Buffalo Bills to have a chance to come down and to make that game close. So you're wondering, why are games so close? Because a head coach makes a shitty, terrible decision that almost cost them an opportunity, Grumpy. That's why.
Maybe the league calls down, hey, make sure
we want you to go ahead and throw the ball on 3rd down. That's what it is. God almighty. Yeah, it was not a great job on that side. And, it's the defense looked spectacular. The defense looked good. The Buffalo defense, I know, was banged up too, but I think
they look great as well. They look great as well.
I was going to say, I think they did a good job. It was that right there, throwing the albatross of Josh Allen throwing for 400 yards. But that is the equivalent of what old school football used to look like, except, Buffalo couldn't run the football. But you're right. That is the biggest weakness that the Buffalo Bills have. They cannot gain the hard and tough and gritty yards unless it's on the backs and shoulders of Josh Allen. Simple as that. They do not have a tough yardage running back. Zach Moss is not the guy. Devin Singletary is not the guy. James Cook is not the guy. They're all very similar backs. They're all guys who catch the ball out of the backfield. That's great, fine, and dandy. It's the same way that the Kansas City Chiefs have their setup. They don't have a big, strong, hunking running back that can go ahead and earn the tough yards. It's that simple.
True.
Yeah, so, again, like you saw that. I wanted to talk. I think, hey, you got to go down there. You got to go down there, McKenzie. Mistake made on that side. I wanted to talk. There's an investigation.
I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. He's running cross field. Incredible.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned it there. But I want to talk a little bit about the poor. I don't know what you'd call this, Grumpy. He was cleared. Tua gets hit. The back of his head hits the ground, the turf, or he hits the ground, and immediately everybody thinks concussion. His legs are wobbly. He's having a hard time walking. Shockingly enough, he says, "Oh, it was my back. My back got banged up and injured. That's why my legs started to fall out from underneath myself. And when I'm shaking my head like this, like I just gotten a concussion, I'm like, whoa, I've got my head and my bell rung. It was my back that was injured." The NFL is initially, they're immediately, they're reviewing this to make sure that all protocols were followed and nothing, nefarious went on to put because in reality, right, the only person this hurts by sending a guy who's concussed back out there on the field is the individual who's concussed. Doesn't hurt me, doesn't hurt the other players, just hurts Tua and his long-term ability to live, a healthy lifestyle later on after football. But this is what happened. This is what was declared as a back injury, not a head injury. I'll let you watch, Grumpy.
True, I respect your toughness, big dog, but you gotta sit this one out, bro. You're not okay, bro.
Oof.
You're echoing. Yeah, that's not a back.
Yeah, his head's shaking around like this. It's not because you injured your back. Here's the thing. People have had back injuries. Speak from this. If you have a back injury, you can't stand up if your back's really bad. You're like, holy shit. It's like, my God, my back has just gotten absolutely destroyed. You're like laying and humped over there in pain because your back's an issue. Not that.
Yeah, it's BS. He was concussed. He was
look at his head. Just look at the little head earlier on, like as he's standing up.
Yeah, but he's able to run. He's able to run initially. Look at him. He's running. Oh, I stumbled around. Absolutely got his bell rung. Absolutely. That's not his back. They're lying. They're flat out lying.
Here's the thing. And if they're caught to doing that, there needs to be serious repercussions against the team. That's simple. I mean, like, you can't do that shit anymore. This is blatant. It's not even like you could possibly argue, right? If this is ruled that they didn't follow it or he was concussed.
The players don't grab you. The players don't grab you if they think you have a back injury. They grab you when they think you're wobbly.
Holy shit. Look at 74. He's like, hold on, buddy.
And then right here.
Holy shit. Immediately he's like, hey, buddy, stop. You're done. Yeah, for those of you who've played, anytime you see a teammate over there who can't stand up and his feet are falling out from underneath him, it's because he's concussed and was unconscious just a few seconds ago. And as he's trying to stand up, it's like a boxer. When a boxer gets knocked out and concussed, you see when he stands up, sometimes his feet are wobbly. It's because he was knocked out. Yeah. It's because he was knocked unconscious there, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know why they'd even lie about that. I don't even know why they'd lie.
I was shocked when he came out there and I saw the headline. I said, when I saw this injury, I'm like, okay, Tua's done for the afternoon. So we'll see what Teddy Bridgewater has to offer. And when I saw the report that he was coming back out there for the third quarter, I was like, holy shit. I'm shocked. I don't know. You be the judge. It's really tough to believe and sell me on that this is a back injury.
Maybe he's just clumsy. He looks like Joe Biden walking up a flight of stairs. That's
what Grumpy, keep it under there. Come on, don't do that shit. But I'll tell you, it's yikes. I'll be very curious to see, what it means. I don't think anybody's had an investigation launched, or maybe they have and it just didn't amount to anything. That's when I think it's gonna be hard to try to defend.
Do you think the NFL really cares?
I think so.
No, they don't.
It's the NFLPA. I think so.
They don't.
They care about the player safety.
No, they don't. They don't. They're just more meat for the grinder.
Yep. NFLPA is initiating an investigation into the handling of Dolphins Tua Tagovailoa's concussion check during the game against the Bills today in Miami, per source.
Yeah. All right. Who's going to tell them what really happened? I mean, come on. Yep. Nothing's going to happen. Oh, yeah, we did it. Sure. Okay.
Man, oh, man. Yeah, I love this. Oh, Tua's saying it's a back injury. So, again, like, people who play dumb like this, like, maybe they've never played sports. When a guy has a concussion and they're in the game, they're trying to win themselves. They're trying to win the team the game. They're not like, oh, man, I've got a concussion. I can't play. A lot of times they're like, dude, I'm fine. Let me get back out there. That's what they do. Oh, this is just my back. That's why. That's why my legs are falling out.
What did Ryan Callahan say? I believe he's a former player or no, the other way. Go the other way. Go the other way. Go the other way. Go the other way.
No, Grumpy, not a former player. Stop. Not a former player. It's just a random guy on Twitter. Okay.
Okay. I thought the name sounded. I just wanted to see the name. What if they said anything? They didn't.
No. But yes, I'll be interested to see what happens with that. I mean, it's a good win. You just hope that he's not going to be out next week due to concussion or anything like that. Because I feel like they're gonna review it. They'll see what's going on. It was a hell of a game to watch, though. Came right down to the end. There was a lot of those. My God, how long did they let those Buffalo Bills players sit down on these when they had those cramps?
But I mean, they have to come off.
I know, but they'd be sitting there on a knee like that. He's like, oh, they would sit down there for quite a bit of time.
They would. I mean, and think about it. Buffalo had the ball almost the whole game. The time of possession was ridiculous. That's why Miami is never going to beat Baltimore when it matters. I'm sorry, Buffalo. They wouldn't beat Baltimore either when it mattered. They get the advantage of being in Miami in September. Guess what? When you're playing those games in December, it's a little bit different.
And you've got, Miami knows what they're doing. They've got it set up to where the freaking sun bakes the opponent's team
Yeah.
all game long, and they're in shape. Hey, they know how to do it. They know
That's
how to
home
play
field
to their
advantage.
advantage. That's it. It's true
Yeah.
home field advantage is right.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No, you just don't have that come
I'm just
November,
if you
December.
look at big picture, some of these games, and we'll talk about other ones. If I'm Buffalo, I'm not even concerned.
Either am I. I mean, like, I'm not worried. I still think they win the division. I still think they're in good shape. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the Bengals. That was a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals today, beating the Jets. I mean, you cannot start off the season 0-3 and expect to be in the playoffs. We're going to be talking about another team who had high hopes that will probably be missing out on the playoffs. But the Bengals come in. They play. I mean, right? They had injuries today. But I thought they played a more complete game than they had in the past. They're still very pass happy. Couldn't really get the run game established against the Jets. But the Jets kept things relatively close again. I mean, like, with the circumstance being they've got Joe Flacco as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about Cincinnati, doesn't it?
I think Cincinnati caught lightning in a bottle last year. I don't think they're anywhere near what their results were last season.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of new guys on the offensive line. Burrow hasn't had the same swagger that he's had last year at the end. Like I said, maybe they did catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle a little bit. But let's give some credit to the Jets, right? They didn't give up. They didn't quit. Joe Flacco is your quarterback. The Wilson kid got lit up today, and he's like
Garrett Wilson, because you got to distinguish between Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson did get a hit in the chest there as a wide receiver, did have to go off the field, is who we're talking about.
He's like 6'1", 163 pounds. I'm like, football's a tough game. I mean, you better learn not to get hit, buddy, if you want to survive in this league.
Yeah, but again, you're still going to have Zach Wilson coming back when healthy. You're going to have an obvious upgrade at the quarterback position. And Wilson's a much more mobile quarterback than Joe Flacco. So, I think there's reasons still to be optimistic as a Jets fan. The Cincinnati team has struggled out of the gates. It's still a talented team, though.
Yes. And I just know something is just missing. I'm not a big fan of their coach. Will they make the playoffs? I don't know. I mean, if you look at it right now, at the beginning of the season, I thought Miami was going to be maybe on the outside looking into the playoffs. I think right now, I know it's early to say this, but I think they're a lock. I think they're a lock to make the playoffs. A lock.
It's early.
I know it's early, but what I've seen so far, I think that they're going to make the playoffs. Look at the other teams, right? Oakland or Las Vegas, 0-3.
Well, hold on. Okay, we're talking about them. You're not okay. Yeah, think about this. We're kind of jumping all over the place again, Grumpy. But as you like.
That's
but
what
let's talk about that specific division. You think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs? Yes. I believe so. You think the Broncos are going to make the playoffs? I think the Broncos have a good chance to make the playoffs. The Raiders. Sorry, guys. The Raiders they're 0-3. Really tough to come back and make the play. They've got a tough division they play in. Can't start off 0-3. I'm sorry. You would have to have some Herculean effort by the Raiders in order to go ahead and do so. And you look at that, and you look at those Chargers, right? I still think the Chargers are a team that's going to make the playoffs too.
They're 1-2. That's what I'm saying. Miami has a 2-game lead and a 3-game lead. And, we don't know about Denver. If Denver loses tonight, they're 2 games out of the wild card. Here's the thing. People who are listening, Buffalo's winning the AFC East. Miami will be a wild card team. I mean, that's what's going to wind up happening. But you're seeing the Chargers and Denver and the Broncos losing games that we thought they were going to win at the start of the year. And they haven't even played except for the Chargers and the Chiefs, haven't even played interdivision matchups yet. I mean, it's going to be tough for those teams. We were thinking 2, maybe 3 teams coming out of the West when we were talking in preseason. That's not happening.
It's still early. You talk about the Dolphins still have a tough schedule, right? Here's the thing. I don't think much of the Ravens. The Ravens are miserable. I do not think much of the Ravens. The Ravens make every single win look difficult. That's one thing I notice every single time. That freaking Patriots team is miserable. They are freaking awful. That Patriots team is awful.
Particularly offensively.
Exactly. And they still can't even right. We wonder, Tua had a great comeback and they really look good in the second half. And in the fourth quarter of that game against the Baltimore Ravens defense, the Ravens defense didn't look good against a miserable Mac Jones and a miserable Patriots defense or Patriots offense. I'm sorry. I don't know. I do not think that the Ravens have the right mix. They have no weapons offensively. And you look at it, it's pretty much Mark Andrews or nothing regarding passing the football. That's not good enough to beat talented teams. The Patriots are good defensively, but again, like offensively, they struggle and they are miserable. And that was a close, tough game. Every single game that the Ravens play, they make difficult, whether they win or lose.
That's true.
And there's a lot of these. It's a long season. It's a 17-game season. I mean, like I'd say that the Dolphins are in the driver's seat to make the playoffs. Absolutely. Yes. I would say I'd be more shocked if they didn't make the playoffs than if they did at this point.
I say they will make playoffs.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's contingent on a few items. Russell Wilson has not looked like the same Russell Wilson of past.
No.
And if that's the case, right, I think that the Denver Broncos are in trouble. You've got the Raiders who start off 0-3. Yikes, bad, right? You had 2 0-3 teams battling it out today between the Titans and the Tennessee Titans and the Raiders. I mean, like you're in a spot to where the Titans were one of the best teams in the league last year. I think they had the best record in the regular season, Grump.
That's right. They had the best. I'm sorry. There was a little bug crawl on my floor. It was driving me crazy. I had to make sure I neutralized him. He attacked me.
There it is.
It's like one of those little pincher bugs. You ever see one of those things?
Yeah, they're called earwigs.
Yeah, I don't want him to suffer, though, so I want to make sure he's dead.
Okay, well, did you hear what I was saying, Grumpy, talking about the must-win games?
Tennessee was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying those are two for those two teams. They both had performed well last season. They were both must-win games between the Raiders and the Titans, right? And you get the Raiders who come out and they lose that game against the Titans. Yikes. The Raiders, after everything they've done this offseason, just look to be coming up short.
Yeah. I don't know what they're missing but they're missing a key element right now.
McDaniels is a shitty head coach. If you wonder what the issue is, McDaniels is a shitty head coach. Awful. I don't know how many more times you need to see him fail to rule out that he's the issue. The team was firing on all cylinders, and you add a huge piece like Devontae Adams, and you add defensive pieces, and you struggle more coming out of the gate? It's because you have a shitty head coach. McDaniels is a bad head coach.
Okay, it's a new system. Everything's new.
Okay, gotcha. It's a new system. That's why they're struggling so much. They decided not to run the ball against one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. They were 31 out of 32 teams as a rush defense at Tennessee Titans, and they didn't run the football. Who is that on? Who calls up? Who's coming up with a game plan to say, "Hey, this is what we're going to do"? McDaniels, Grumpy.
But that's his fault. Jacobs been banged up.
No, Jacobs had over 5 yards of carry today. They just didn't utilize him.
But he's been banged up. Maybe they said you can't. Okay, you can't give him the rock. But maybe they said we can't give him the ball 20 times. He has been banged up. Absolutely. He was questionable going into today's game. He absolutely was. I mean,
pull up RotoWire for you.
Look at Detroit. DeAndre Swift, right? He was.
Okay, hold on. Don't jump all over the place, please.
I mean,
he had an illness. He had an illness this week. He had an illness this week. So what? He had a little bit of a stomach bug or something. He had an illness. That's the only time he's missed any time. A little bit of an illness was the question mark going into this week. Was an illness.
Didn't know he was going to play yesterday.
Holy shit!
So maybe so you take care of those guys. I mean, like I said,
Brandon Bolden, 3 rushes, 17 yards. Josh Jacobs, 13 rushes, 66 yards. Both running backs averaging over 5 yards a carry. Only 16 combined rushes for him. Hey, guys, you're playing against one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. What are we going to dial up? We're going to go ahead and pass the ball 44 times today instead of rushing. I don't know. It seems like you have a bad game plan headed in. McDaniels is a shitty head coach. He is the issue for the Raiders. He is not the right guy in charge. Simple. Think about everything they had going on last year. Head coach fired because of all the items popping up with Gruden with those emails. All the calamity that surrounded them. And they still put together a hell of a season with all of those outside forces. This year, hire a head coach, go ahead and bring in Devontae Adams, and they have lackluster results. They had much more going on last year than they had this season, Grumpy.
They also got Chandler Jones as well.
Yeah. Again, he's another plus on the defense. I'm just saying they added pieces. They should be playing better, and the results are worse every single game.
Okay.
Not a good head coach.
They were a 2-point conversion away from going to overtime in that game. Again, I mean, you make it sound like they were blown. They're never blown out. The games are close.
They lost to the Chargers, they lost to the Cardinals, and they lost to the 0-3.
There's your West Coast team playing a 1:00 game Eastern time. It's the same thing, right? You got a West Coast team playing a 1:00 time slot. They are notoriously bad at that. I mean,
it's a game they need to win.
Yeah, well, so did Tennessee.
Yep.
And they showed fight. So they didn't quit because they were down. They didn't quit.
The Raiders have up next the Broncos and the Chiefs. The Raiders could very easily start off the season 0-5.
They'll beat the Broncos next week.
Oh, what makes you feel so confident? What are the last 3 games have given you the confidence that the Raiders are going to win?
I just don't think the Broncos are that good.
Okay. They're playing this evening, so we'll see how they fare. We'll see how they look. But I think McDaniel's not a good coach, not a good head coach. Maybe a good offensive coordinator, not a good head coach.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate for the Raiders. You're using borrowed time. And you've got him. He's one of those 1-year head coach and gone type of candidates, in my opinion.
He'll be there more than 1 year. He will absolutely be there more than 1 year. Yes.
Let's say they have 7 or 8 losses this year. Think he still keeps his job? I don't.
Yeah. Yes. So if they have a winning record, they're going to fire their head coach after 1 year. A new system coming in. No, not
with everything they added.
Everything is new. Everything is new. The whole system is new, offensively and defensively, all new. You're going to expect some rough spots at the beginning. I mean, look who they lost to. Chargers. Who they lose to last week?
Cardinals. Suck.
That's a game they should have won. That's a game they were on their way to winning, except Hunter Renfrow gets knocked out, and it's a 70-yard fumble return in overtime, right? Again, another overtime game. What I'm saying is they were in control of that game. And then Kyler Murray pulls some magic out of his ass, converting a whole bunch of 4th downs, and they lose that game. Today, they were in it right at the end. He's not going anywhere. Josh McDaniels is going to be there for a while, and he's going to turn them around.
Oh, shit. Yeah, because he did that in Denver the first time around. Okay. I don't know. You like him. You like all these ex-Patriot guys.
Coached in Denver.
Sucks.
He coached in Denver, 18 years ago? Please stop.
He sucks, man. He's not a good head coach. I don't know how much more you need to see out of him.
More than 3 games that if you add up all the points they lost for, it's probably under 10.
Great. I could say Matt Rule is a fantastic head coach too by that barometer. But guess what? The win and the loss column is all that matters, not how close the loss or the win is, Grump.
Okay. I think he'll turn around there.
Okay. Well, I did want to show you this little bit of an outburst on the sidelines by Quentin Williams. My God, I'm not sure if you had a chance to catch this. Trouble for the New York Jets.
Trouble in paradise.
Trouble in paradise is right.
Including Logan Wilson. And this was during the break in the action.
Jesus Christ.
As the Jets' Quentin Williams was sharing his opinion. Players got in between, including Logan Wilson. And this was...
My God, Grumpy, what's your reaction to seeing something like that? Things get heated on the sidelines, but my God.
You can't... I don't know. It's a bad look.
It's a bad look is right. It makes things look like we don't have control of what's going on. You know what I mean?
This guy seems seriously confrontational with the coach, though.
And the coach seemed relatively calm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what was happening there, though.
I mean, this guy's all blowed up.
Yeah, I was about to say. I like how the one teammate just sits here throughout everything. 91 just takes his squad. He's just like, God damn it. I'm just sitting here relaxing.
He's probably played with the Jets 91. He's probably played with the Jets for 10 years.
Look at the hair loss. I was about to say that's what it takes being a Jets fan. Jesus. So yeah, I did get a little bit of a chuckle out of the calamity on the sidelines for the Jets. That's always funny.
I don't know what got him so worked up, honestly.
I don't know. Shit. It's one of those where I'm not sure if it's like, that was justified or not. Stephen S. says, what's going on, guys? Hope you gents are doing well. I can't believe I'm saying it, but we took down Brady's Buccaneers. Big win for the green and gold. Heading into week 4. Go Pack, go.
Do we want to talk about this one next? Or
Sure.
no?
That's what I was bringing up.
If you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're feeling good today.
Why is that, Grumpy?
Your defense did a good job, except for the first 2 drives, where again Todd Bowles just does Todd Bowles things, and they stop tackling. Just both drives. Key situations on 3rd down, a wide receiver with 3 tacklers, and somehow none of them make a tackle till he picks up the first down. After that, they settled down. Offensively, Donovan Smith's still out with his elbow injury. So they're playing, this guy who was a streety, Brandon Walton, number 73, overmatched on the outside. Have the rookie left guard. That whole side of the line is terrible. They're going to get better as the season goes on. They were missing Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones. So you're throwing to Rashad Perriman. They moved the ball in the first half a couple of times, and the wide receivers fumbled it away. Gage fumbled one away, and Perriman fumbled one away. The Perriman one was really important because it was the end of the first half, and they were driving down for a score without a doubt. And he fumbles the ball inside the 30-yard line. Tampa Bay is going to get healthy, or more healthy as the season goes on, where for Green Bay, you're as healthy as it's going to be. I mean, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, you can say, okay, we know there are better days ahead, that the offense is going to be better as the season gets on and everyone gets back on the field. So, I mean, yes, they lost, but Brady does what Brady does in the last 2 minutes, drives them down like that, and then penalty. They can't get the play in on time after a timeout. They take a delay of game on the 2-point conversion. Yeah. I still don't believe in their coaches. I just don't.
Again, they can sometimes lose you games. But that's a game where the Packers came in, that they look good defensively as well, which, I mean, that's one of the strengths of that team. I'd say that's more the strength on the offense, despite having, ex-MVP caliber quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. But, it's the defense is a strength for them. I know Christian Watson was out today for them, but yeah. I mean, like, I always think that it's one of those lost years for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, because no matter what happens, unless you make major additions at the trade deadline to add additional offensive pieces, I just don't see it happening. I just feel like there's not enough weapons around Aaron Rodgers to be successful.
And that's why they'll lose. Like I said, Brady, Scotty Miller. Okay, Cole Beasley off the street makes how many catches today? I mean, when they get their weapons back, like I said, there are no weapons. But the dumb play calling by Byron Leftwich, it's like run on first down. Whenever they did play action pass on first down, they picked up chunk plays. They know what he does. And sometimes you got to think outside the box a little bit. I mean, he has an MO as an offensive coordinator, and everyone knows they're starting almost every single drive 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11.
I forgot to show you this. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at to see this. My God, how pathetic does this look? I've never seen. I just want you to watch this replay. For those who are unfamiliar, this is right at the end of the game.
Ken Dorsey.
This is Ken Dorsey, offensive coordinator for the Bills. This is right at the end of the game where the Bills are trying to spike the football to try to set up for a field goal attempt. And I just want you to see the reaction of offensive coordinator. I don't know what's worse, Grumpy. The person who's like, oh shit, he's having a little freak out attack. I've got to move the camera out of the way. Or this pathetic
he hit the camera.
Outrage.
Okay. I could see slamming the hat down to the headset once, maybe twice. After that, you get your composure. That's it right there. Not the third one, not the fourth one, not the fifth one, not the sixth one.
It's not him who grabs the camera, Grumpy. It's somebody who's a member of the team, because he's still smashing the shit out of that. As you can see, it's a random hand. No, it's a random hand.
Oh, okay.
It's a random hand. Oh, yeah, it's a random hand that's going to get in front of that.
I just saw it. I didn't see it in slow-mo like that. Now I can tell it's a hand.
But yeah, it's a random hand that goes in. Who knows how many more times this freaking baby was slamming his headset? My God almighty.
I mean, I could see once, twice. After that, that's it. That's a bad look too.
It's a freaking awful look. He looks like a freaking kid throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
He's not even a player on the field. He's a freaking coach.
Yeah, Ken
You're an
Dorsey.
offensive coordinator. You're not even down there with the players. You're up there in a freaking booth. Control yourself. Control yourself, grown adult. My God.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1. Do you like how the first throw? Look
3,
how much of
4,
a bitch
5.
this first throw is. Look at the first throw of the iPad. What a freaking shitty throw. He's just picks it up like this. It's like he's not even like throwing shit. He's like barely placing it on the ground.
I like the other coaches just ignoring him.
They're like, oh man, we've seen this before, I guess. You're right. Nobody even looks.
I wonder what he was mad at. Now, just to touch on, Stephon Diggs was invisible at the end because he had cramps.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's September. It's September.
I just wanted to show you that little outburst. Yeah, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing, but it's funny to laugh at. It's funny to mock as well. And Stephen S. says, wasn't a pretty win by any means, but we're kind of known for that. A win's a win, right?
Yeah.
I worry about the weapons they have.
They're not going anywhere. If Tampa Bay plays Green Bay in the playoffs, Tampa Bay will beat Green Bay. No doubt in my mind.
Drew L said, I need Russell Wilson to ball out. Let's go Broncos. Broncos Nation. I don't even want to say Broncos Nations. Let's ride. Oh, man. Brady looks like trash. Is Giselle really getting to him, or is it age finally?
I don't think he looked poor today. His weapons, like I said, he drove him down the field. They kept turning the ball over. Wide receivers how often do you see wide receivers having fumbles? How often does that happen?
Fumble football. Yeah.
How often does that really happen? They had two in game. I'm like, please. Hunter Renfrow did it twice last week. It cost them a game. How often do you see wide receivers fumbling the ball after a long run? I just
hold on to the football.
Yeah, come on, fellas.
D-Cut says, check your DMs, TJ. I didn't get anything through the DMs there, D-Cut. Drew L says, Bucks and Packers came down to the 2-point conversion right at the end. Absolutely. Stephen S said, got the most points this week for fantasy, 131.9. Is this optimism I feel? This usually never happens. Also, no tablets were thrown so far this week. That's got to be something. I was about to say, he didn't pull his Ken Dorsey. He didn't go ahead and start slamming his little tablet around. Alexander, what's up? He says, hey, guys, what's going on? 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Tua has that dog in him. I told you guys about Herbert chokes in the big game. Did you watch that game? Herbert still is like walking with like his arm. If he could walk in it in a freaking sling, he would.
He shouldn't
have been playing is right.
He should not have even played today.
Yeah.
That's an injury that's like a 2, 3, 4 week injury. And he played, and you knew he wasn't going to be good. You knew he wasn't going to be good today. Can't throw the ball. That's like a cartilage thing.
Yeah. And every time you're throwing on it, you just continue to aggravate that. But I mean, he's again, Herbert is miles better of a quarterback than
Miles.
If Herbert was a quarterback in Miami, we'd be talking about how the Miami Dolphins are a potential favorite to win the Super Bowl. You do not have a quarterback that could win you a big time game. I know he came back and he scored. We came back and we put up points against Baltimore. That Baltimore defense, last year they didn't play great. Last year, if you look at their production as a defense as a whole, it wasn't great. This year, they're not off to a great start either. Herbert is a stat stuffer. That's all he is. Holy shit. Kind of like what Tua did last week. But hey, I don't know. Like Herbert is miles better than Tua. And like, Tua is what he is. He's a game manager at best who has two bona fide top 15 wide receiving threats. Yeah. Tyreek Hill's better than any wide receiving threat that's on the Chargers.
Buffalo,
and I'd argue that Jalen Waddle is maybe better than any threat that the Chargers have as well.
Buffalo shut Tyreek Hill down today for the most part. They had one drive, which I would consider a good drive. They had the 2 big plays that got him that second touchdown. They were gifted the first one. Otherwise, they didn't do anything.
And he also says, I told you guys we were beating Buffalo. They did. You're right. They did beat Buffalo.
Alexander gets to ride that streak another week.
Drew L says crazy what happens with Tennessee's once Vrabel includes Derrick Henry in the passing game. It's like they should have done that for the first 2 weeks. Idiot coaches. He cannot catch the football. That first catch he had where he like bobbled the ball 3 or 4 times, but then went ahead and reeled off a 30-yard reception. I'm like, if Derrick Henry could catch, he would be so much deadlier. It's like when he catches the football, it's one of those where it's like they have to roll him out into the flats. He has to look at Tannehill. He's got to stand still, and the ball has to be thrown to him right inside the freaking pocket of his hands. He's got to bring it down, and sometimes then he could go ahead and just accidentally miss the ball as well. He is not a natural pass catcher. It's like it's one of those items that he has to be very hyper focused on making a routine catch. He's just not a natural catcher of the pass. Of the ball.
He's not. He's not.
He's a hell of a everything else as a running back, but he is not a guy who's great with catching the football.
He's a throwback running back. He's not a third down back catcher. I mean, he can make a couple of catches, but it's always ugly. It's a struggle for him.
Yeah. D-Cut says Grumpy needs to contact Oliver Stone.
I think so.
And also the walking cripple, Dalvin Cook, injured again. I'm pretty sure I stashed Matson. I was about to say I got Matson.
And
I pretty much drafted Matson in every league because he's always injured, Dalvin Cook.
They say that he figures he's going to get strapped up and be able to go next week.
Oh, is it the shoulder again?
Yeah.
It's always the shoulder, ankle, knee. I mean, at this point in time, he's had a lot of rough and hard miles on his body. It's that simple. And we're week 3, and he's already got one of those injuries that he's going to be battling a nagging injury for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
There's only so much tread left on those tires. Steve and I said, well, it's official. We're 1 week away from the NHL playing its first game back in my hometown of Milwaukee since 1993. Gentlemen, synchronize your watches. It's going to be a fun one. There it is. That's going to be fun for you, Steven. Hopefully you got tickets. Alexander says the Dolphins defense don't break defense. But you got to give credit to the Dolphins. And he says the Dolphins are for real. McDaniels is the real deal. And it's hard to prove it.
He's talking about the Tua injury thing. Here's the thing. How'd they look last week against Baltimore? Baltimore ran out of gas at the end because of the heat of Miami. I mean, I wonder why the league schedules all of Miami's home games in the first month. Is it to keep the fans in Florida entertained or keep them in, where they watch TV for the rest of the season? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, one of those conspiracy theorists. They've had 3 straight home games to start the season.
Hold on, I don't think did they play at home against the Ravens?
Yes. New England, Baltimore, and Buffalo. 3 straight home games.
No, Baltimore was a Baltimore home game. You're wrong. That's why I looked it up. They played at MT Bank Stadium. So 2 of the first 3 games were home games. They played Baltimore.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right now. They played Baltimore. They beat them 42-38, and they played them in M&T Bank Stadium.
But I don't think their defense was that good against Baltimore.
Yeah, they allowed 38 points against. I don't think Baltimore. Man, oh man, you will never. Here's a bold statement and a bold prediction. You will never see a dominant Baltimore side as dominant as that first year with Lamar Jackson. You just never will.
No,
that trick pony is done. You are still going to be able to string together successful spurts. They have no weapons around him, and he will never be able to produce like he did that first season. That first season, he was unstoppable. And he was a guy who was every way, shape of the form MVP. No doubt about it. Doesn't have the weapons around him. It's going to be tough with the huge contract he's going to want going forward to ever put the right weapons around him, unfortunately. So, I don't know. The Dolphins they're on the road against the Bengals, and then they're on the road against the Jets. So their next home game for the Dolphins don't come up again until the Minnesota Vikings play them in October.
Maybe it'll cool off a little bit by then.
I'm not sure by how much, though. Alexander also said, you also are not talking about the play where Josh Allen should have been called for intentional grounding. No, the running back was there in the picture. Singletary was there. He threw it sidearmed. He was in the picture. He was in the frame. I know they saw that, and people were asking for a flag. That's right. McDaniel tried to challenge that. He tried to challenge the intentional grounding. That's right.
Can't
You
challenge.
yeah, they had to have him pick it up. I'm like,
Thanks
how
for
the
knowing
hell
the
do you-
rules.
How the hell do you not know that fucking Poindexter? You cannot challenge an intentional ground. He throws it on there. It's like, oh, well, he probably just wanted a better explanation. Dude, if a coach throws a challenge flag out there, strip him of the challenge, strip him of the timeout. And you know what? When they find out that Tua had a concussion, strip him of the next 50 games. Don't let the Dolphins compete in the NFL.
Gosh, you're a little hot and bothered over there,
Well,
aren't you?
here's the thing. What I don't like is clear and obvious that was a concussion. They let him go out there and play again. That is right. Doesn't affect me at all. I'm sitting here. I'm healthy. I'm fine. All it does is affect Tua down the road. I mean, all he's doing is hurting himself. But in the same token, you're just kind of like, oh, yeah. It's like the holier than thou. Like where you see like every single time, oh, Brady inflated footballs. Oh, this happened. They went ahead and used the spy cameras to go ahead and get information on this. Oh, teams did this, teams did that. Teams went ahead and let Tua Tagovailoa come back in knowingly that he had a concussion. I don't know. It's pretty obvious to me. But hey, maybe that back injury was affecting his ability to stand on two legs.
There you go.
He could get up and he started running. He started to get those weak knees.
Then he ran again.
Stephen S. said, well, remember, time was added back to the clock during a Cowboys game without anybody realizing it. Approximately 8 seconds. So technically, the Dallas Cowboys should have even gotten that last play regardless. Man, now we're going back. I remember we watched that one. Did we watch that one live?
Yes.
We did that live game.
I think we did.
That's right. And Jurel says, yeah, Isaiah McKenzie, in hindsight, is the reason Buffalo lost by not sitting down earlier and giving Tyler Bass a chance for a field goal.
But coaches need to reiterate to the players time and situation.
Yep.
It's
Players should know that too, though.
They should. But I mean, all he should have done, all right, catch it. Just take it as far up the field and vertical up the field as he can. Get up, spike it, live for another play. It's just.
Speaking about boneheaded plays by coaches and decision by coaches, there was once, and we were playing, we had a long third down. We had like 18 yards. It was like 3rd and 22.
Oh, God.
And I guess, Jesus Christ, it was bad. We had completed the pass, but we did not get enough for the first down. So it was at the end of the game. We're trying to drive down the field to put ourselves in field goal range to win the game. We're down by like 1 or 2 points, something like that. I don't remember the exact score. We're down. We need to hit a field goal in order to win the game. And we get a huge completion. We're running down there, and we're getting from the sidelines, spike it. And they're doing like spike signals. And I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is 4th down. But I'm like, whatever. We're just getting on the line. We spiked the ball on 4th fucking down. Coaches could very easily lose you games because they're not cognizant, they're not paying attention enough.
How do you not know what down it is? See, to me, I'm sorry. That's a failure. That's an epic fail.
Yeah. I've seen it firsthand plenty of times. Coaches can lose you games. Stephen S. says, also, why would you run a quarterback sneak on 3rd down with no timeouts left with 10 seconds left to go in the game? This is why the Cowboys have to let McCarthy go. He relies on high-end talent. I was about to say, it's right. You know, Stephen S. knows Mike McCarthy pretty well after his tenure for the Green Bay Packers. But honestly, I was just like, man, that freaking ref just took forever to get there and spot the damn ball. Ugh.
But it's his own fault. He ran cross field with no timeouts. Even if he ran the other direction, he would have gotten closer to the sideline or had a chance. He runs cross field. I'm like, dude, you picked up an extra 2 yards and you burned 10 seconds off the clock? Terrible.
Alexander said, let's talk about the Tua to Waddle 3rd and 22 completion.
Yeah, that's where that banged up Buffalo secondary hurt them.
Yeah.
He had 2 plays on that drive, a 35-yarder and a 42-yarder. That was it. That was the extent of their offense in the second half.
How many yak yards were associated with those completions, Grump?
All of it.
Alexander says Tua is Josh Allen's daddy. Oh, God.
Here's the thing.
Alexander.
Come talk to me when they play Buffalo in November. In Buffalo.
Alexander.
Can Tua throw the ball in the wind? The answer is no. It's tough to play in the Northeast in the winter.
Glassjaw Tua Tagovailoa also got a concussion today too. So we talk about how frail he is. I heard and it wasn't even okay. Here's the thing: I didn't even think that was a penalty. They gave him a 15-yard and sportsmanlike. He just freaking hit the quarterback. Jesus, man, he barely tapped him and he fell over.
What about the penalty that when the Miami guy dropped a pass and the Buffalo guy pulls up at the 2-yard line as not to hit him, but they're coming at one another and he accidentally hits him with the shoulder. That guy eased off. They gave him a first and goal, which wound up they converted into the touchdown. But it's like, that to me, that's not even a penalty. If you want to go ticky-tack stuff like that.
Soft. It's a soft game. But no, Tua is not Josh Allen's daddy. Stephen S. says, even I, as a Packers fan, can't agree with McCarthy's play calling or judgment. Word of advice, Mike. High-end talent can't bail you out forever.
He's not a good coach.
Tua ran out of the tunnel full sprint. Yeah. Like the way the concussion works is sometimes like you see a boxer like that, takes them a little bit of time, and as soon as they get their facilities back in, they could still go out there. Like, my God almighty. The fact that he can run out of the tunnel full sprint, like you could see guys with there's different grades of concussions, grade 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. I don't want to even hear about Tua's toughness. The guy freaking got a concussion getting knocked down to the ground. It wasn't even look like a vicious hit, dude. You know what they used to call that in practice? They used to call that a soft candy shell. He used to say, because anytime you get hit, you got to be out there with the concussion. Some guys are just more prone to it than others. I don't know. Tua is not tough. Tua equals no tough. Stephen S. says, we should have gotten rid of McCarthy after that 2011 season. He never changed anything after that year. I'll thank him for his service during our Super Bowl 45 run. But after that, he should have gotten the boot.
Rodgers liked him, though, then. He tailored his whole system around Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's Rodgers' ass. That's what you got to do with the quarterback nowadays.
Yep.
When he and Rodgers,
think about the weapons he put around Rodgers too.
When he and Rodgers didn't see eye to eye anymore, that's when they let him go. And they brought in LaFleur.
Yikes. Alexander says, I'm sorry, but the Dolphins wouldn't have let him back out there. I don't know, Alexander. I don't know, man. I've seen NFL organizations do questionable things in the past. I know we want to think our your team or our team would never do anything like that, but that looked pretty verifiable as a concussion. Everybody who's seen them and had teammates have them or even have seen or had a concussion firsthand, those are the telltale signs.
Did they have those tents anymore? Remember they had the blue tent?
Yeah, they still have them.
You
go to the tent, yeah.
I remember they used to be on TV all the time with the blue tent. Maybe it's not as popular this year, the blue tent. The ratings aren't as good with blue tent, so they don't show it anymore.
Matt Milano is a dirty piece of shit, Grumpy. I got to see that hit again. I really didn't think it was that vicious.
It's football. Show Joe Turkey Jones, Terry Bradshaw hit.
Oh, no, I'm not going to show that one, Grump.
Well, I'm just saying, just show how different the game is today. Show the two and tell me,
it's
who's
such a soft pussy fucking hit. It's not even funny. This guy, Tua, is the softest sharp. He's Charmin soft, man. Look at this shit. This is what we're complaining about now. This is the softest freaking hit I've ever seen before in my life. Look at this shit.
Oof. Well, it's the back of his head hitting the turf. Sure is.
The fact that that's a penalty.
I can't even believe that. He didn't need
to kind of take 2 steps, 3 steps, and as he's on the way down to the ground. My God.
His arms were already extended. He didn't even get a good shove on him.
That's what I said. Should he hit him? No. Did he? Yeah, Milano does that shit all the time. But I don't know. It was a soft hit. That is a soft hit. It wasn't like he picked them up at this point and pile drived them into the ground or anything like that. He just went ahead and followed through.
Look, his arms are already 3/4 extended. He's a candy ass. Tua's a candy ass. I'm sorry.
Candy ass. I don't know, man. That should not have given him the I don't know. Maybe just the way his head hit. Man. If they had Justin Herbert, they would be a Super Bowl contender. Verifiable Super Bowl. Could you imagine Herbert paired up with Tyreek Hill and paired up with Jalen Waddle? Not only does he have the ability to hit those short routes, but he has the arm to hit the routes that are longer developing too.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Alexander, I want the Dolphins to be good, my friend. I want them to be good. They just do not have it's just like with the Giants, right? Every win the Giants have makes me somewhat happy, but somewhat upset. because knowing that the Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones, is not good enough to win them games long term, and all it does is prolong the inevitable. He is not a good enough quarterback, Grumpy. What do you get? What update did you get, Grump?
I got something here. National Anthem standoff. Robbie Ray and Luke Weaver both ejected before the Mariners-Royals first pitch after standing still when the national anthem ends.
They did that before in the past. It was like it's a little fun. I looked at it earlier. It wasn't really a big story for me. I don't know why you get distracted by it. But yeah, it's one of those things where I don't even remember what we were talking about. But
we were talking about Tua being a weak ass bitch.
Gungun says the Jets are obviously a badly coached team. Hopefully, this Feces franchise finally learns and enlists their inevitable next head coach with actual NFL head coaching experience. Coming down hard on Salah.
I just don't think they're ready yet. I mean, I think they're better than they were last year. The Jets have been a dumpster fire for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What should they have done? They should have got themselves an offensive tackle in the first round instead of Sauce Gardner. Sorry.
Sauce Gardner.
Did they really need Garrett Wilson? I don't know. They had Elijah Moore. He's pretty good. They had Corey Davis. He's pretty good. I mean, to me,
they needed to add weapons, but they also need to make sure they protect the quarterback. That's simple.
Number one most important thing.
Yeah. Andrew L says here, of course, I put Jerry Jeudy in last second for Brandon Ayuk, and he scores the rip. Yeah. Yep. Brandon Ayuk, he's legit. Here's the thing, the quarterback issue. It's another thing there's a lot of teams in the NFL that have great position players, but do not have a good enough quarterback in order to win them games.
True.
When it matters the most. Jimmy Garoppolo is a good game manager. He's not good enough to win them games in the big moments. The reason why they never won a Super Bowl. They have a great offensive line, an unbelievable tight end, great wide receiver threats, a great running game, a fantastic defense, good special teams. But they can never win because there's one issue, and it's a guy who touches the ball every freaking play.
They should have beaten Kansas City. You have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. There's no way you should lose. He throws an interception, and then he just does that little Chicken Little stuff that he likes to do and just turns it over. He sucks. Here's the thing. I wanted the Giants to get him as a stopgap to the new quarterback. I was all for that.
I know. I was like, what a mistake.
Okay.
What a mistake to be. Alexander said, I'm sorry, Grump. You're wrong. The Dolphins dethroned the Bills and we are going 15-2. Wow.
That's not happening.
Good.
That's not happening.
Good luck.
All right. How many points? Take away the fourth quarter against Baltimore. How many points have Miami scored this season?
Man, we talk a lot about the Miami Dolphins right now. But I don't know, Grumpy. Give me a sec.
Not enough.
You could say the same thing about the Buccaneers, Grump. The Buccaneers,
but the Buccaneers, I mean, their defense is good, but offensively, all their weapons are banged up, and their offensive line is still in a state of flux until Smith comes back to be. Now, talk about a guy who's soft. 2 weeks ago, he got hurt with his elbow against the Dallas Cowboys. And I said, well, will he play the next week? Well, it's a pain tolerance thing. He misses 2 weeks because of pain tolerance? Shoot the damn thing up and get on the field. You're seeing number 73 get run over out there like a freaking, like he's on the tracks and he just gets run over by a freight train. That guy's got to get back on the field. Suck it up.
Yeah.
Got to get your wide receivers back.
Dolphins had the defensive touchdown against the Patriots. They won 20-7. Then they beat the Ravens 42-38, and against the Bills 21-19. Again, the defense has done a good job of forcing turnovers.
The defense has been good.
Fantastic. You need a good defense in order to win. Alexander says, wow, how ironic. TJ and Grump not giving the Dolphins no credit still. They think the Dolphins are not that good of a thing. Just think they go 4-0 versus Cincinnati on Thursday and get Byron Jones back. Again, we're jumping to think that, hey, they're going to beat Cincinnati immediately. Cincinnati's 1-2. They still have good weapons. Maybe they've got the Super Bowl hangover. That's a game that's for Cincy, right? You got to think that you got to come away with a win there, right?
Yep.
That's a game that Cincinnati has to win. They can't go 1-3. I mean, their division is not very strong. but it's tough to go start off 1-3 and say, hey, we're going to be in real contention for the postseason, let alone a Super Bowl.
And I'm going to, I take umbrage at Alexander saying that I don't give the Dolphins any credit. I think the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. I didn't think they were before the season, but I think they are now. I thought they were close. I think they will absolutely make the playoffs this year. But they ain't beating Buffalo when it counts.
More chance they make the playoffs than they don't. But I mean, like, pump the brakes, man. I really don't think they're as good as we are perceiving them to be right now. Without a monumental collapse by the Baltimore Ravens, who do that on a pretty consistent basis, and without the unbelievable heat and the cramping and the injuries of the Buffalo Bills, they're 1-2 to start the season. I do not think much of the Buffalo. I do not think much of the Dolphins. They'll make the playoffs. I don't think much of them, though.
Okay.
It's tough not to make the playoffs when you start 3-0. Right? I mean, like, if we're thinking about it, with the additions there to the extra wild card spot, it's tough not to make the postseason going 3-0. He also says there was a play where the Bills were backed up, a first down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the one where Devin Singletary was like 3 yards away. Stephen S. says here, quarterback draw play. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, my bad. I don't know. My brain there's still scrambling. The Dolphins' schedule is easy for the next 4 games. They play Cincinnati, they play the Jets, Minnesota, and the Steelers. I wonder if 7-0 could be a possibility.
I'm going to say they're not going to be 7-0. They're not going to be undefeated through 7 games.
Man, oh man.
But I mean, you never know.
I could see them being 5-2, if not 6-1. I think that, right? I think when you look at it, the Jets probably don't beat the Dolphins. Minnesota might, depending how that goes, right? That Minnesota, they're way up north in October. It's already starting to get chilly up there in October, Grumpy, and they're going to be playing in Florida. Some of those cold weather teams going down to the hot heat of Miami.
Yeah, but that's in the middle of October.
In the middle of October, what's the weather look like in Miami? Still 85, 90-degree days?
No. Probably 80. You're talking about the middle of October. Maybe 80 as a high.
Okay. Average in October. We get there. Hold on a second. Christ almighty. I'll have to pull it up. I think it's hotter than that, but I couldn't tell you, Grumpy. I would think it would be warmer than that in October in Miami.
The middle of October. I'm going to say 80 as a high.
Okay. Sure. You know what? I can't even pull it up there. It's tough. I'd have to pull it up there for a second, but sure, I'll agree with you. Let's say even mid-80s, whatever. It's still not going to be that warm.
It's not going to be mid-80s in the middle of October.
Okay. Drew L says Jets lose again because they didn't give Breece Hall 15-plus attempts. I don't think Breece Hall touched the ball 15-plus times would have won them that game anyway. At least the Texans with Damian Pierce showed what happens when you don't use a running back committee.
Yeah, I mean, you draft this guy high for a reason. Give him the ball. I mean, he's good. You can tell. You look at him, it's like, this kid's going to be a player.
Drill said John Gruden wasn't any better, TJ. What were they, 4-0 when he got fired? 5-0 when he got fired last year?
They weren't the Miami Dolphins. They weren't the Miami Dolphins. Come on.
What was the Raiders' record last year when he got fired?
They were not 4-0. They were not 4-0.
Let's see that here. I'll pull it up. I swore they had a fantastic start to last year. They ended 10-7. When did he get fired? Do we remember that, Grumpy?
I don't remember.
They won their first 3 games. They were 3-0 to start.
Well, I think he was he forced to resign or was he fired?
He was fired.
I hope he beats the NFL in that lawsuit.
Yeah.
What were they? What was their record?
I'm trying to pull. They were 3-0 to start. I'm just trying to see when he was fired. Oh, he was resigned. He was forced to resign.
Yeah. There you
go. He was forced to resign. Let me see here what their record was. God almighty, these fucking heads. On the 20, he was forced to resign on the 28th of October. At that point, they were 5-2.
Okay.
I don't know. Much better start than.
So they were 5-5 down the stretch.
Yeah. So again, much better with John Gruden as a head coach or not. But he said he low-key was just as bad as McDaniels as a head coach of the Raiders team. Raiders should have kept, what is that? Basaki, Grumpy? I They pronounce that
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Sadi. I don't know. As coach, Gungun says, "Can we accept that Salah's dare and take receipts for all the brutal, poorly coached, non-properly prepared Jets losses this year and cash them in for something of value at the end of the season? You can cash them in for a high draft pick. That's what
There you go. There you go.
That's the only thing you can cash those in for, Gungun.
That's it. Yes.
And Jimmy G, D-Cut saying, carving up the Broncos defense. And Mahomes had it out with Bieniemy too.
Bieniemy.
I
don't think he's a great offensive coordinator. People say, well, why hasn't he gotten a job? Because he's a shitty coach. He doesn't interview well. That's why he doesn't have a head coaching job. It's the Andy Reid system. It's what it is.
Oh, hold on a second. I'll pop this up. I was not aware of this little back and forth here. It's not usually good when you're getting back and forth with a quarterback, but let's take a look-see here.
So you could have thrown a Hail Mary, right? That's what I thought. The only reason you would do that is because I've always wondered, quarterback could get hurt. Look, he's upset right here. Mahomes is like, I don't want to run the ball and finish that. It's like, well, stop. We're playing good. It's tough. They got a good D-line. I know, but just so you could have thrown a Hail Mary, right?
He used to be a running back, Eric Bieniemy. He was like, I think 5'7", 5'8", 200 pounds. He's a little thicker than that now.
I think he's playing fullback in best case scenarios now. I do like that Andy Reid has to go ahead. he's playing nose tackle for the Bears. I do like how Andy Reid has to go ahead and separate.
I mean, let me tell you something. I like Pat Mahomes.
I do too. I like Patrick Mahomes.
He's a nice guy.
I don't know. He's weighed down with that awful brother and that shitty wife of his. My God, Brittany Mahomes or whatever it is. Yes, and his brother Jackson. Ugh.
I don't know if they had the clip when the Giants played Indianapolis. I think it was 1990, where it was a Monday night game, and Phil Simms said something with Parcells, and Parcells yelled back. It's iconic, and Phil just backed down from Bill. He just backed down from Parcells. I mean, it has to be their Sims Parcells screaming or something like that, because that's old school. You didn't talk back to the coach back then, and even if you tried to, he'd shut you down. I mean, Parcells just had that kind of power.
Okay, it was 1990. You said.
I think it was 1990. With just Parcells, Sims yelling, something like that. They probably would come up like that as well. I know it was against the Colts in Indianapolis, I believe. I'm going really back in the Wayback Machine now.
Yeah, I'm not pulling anything up with this, Grumpy.
Okay.
I'll
find it and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, nothing popped up immediately.
I probably still have it.
Yes, Grumpy.
I probably still have it. I probably still have it on VHS tape.
You still have it on VHS, man?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha, man. Jarrell said, okay, so Russell Wilson's looks good when he gets more than 3 seconds to throw the ball. Shaking my head. Does he know what's called a slant or screen pass? Well, not dialing it up, and I'm not watching the game, but they're getting a lot of pressure, right? Should be throwing a whole bunch of screens, but are they doing that, right? Joseph C says here, I know you guys are sponsored by DraftKings, but no way I could bet money on the NFL. Shit is so unpredictable. How did the Chiefs lose and not cover to the Colts? Your guess is as good as mine, man.
How is it that these gambling sites are able to stay in business? How does Las Vegas know almost always within a point or two what the difference in the score is going to be? How is that possible?
We got a lot of comments, Grumpy, to go. We're going to do some rapid fire on comments because I want to talk a little bit more about the rest of the games. We still haven't talked about any college football games either, Grumpy. We have to cover. Alexander says, quick question. Does Nathan McKinnon's contract extension affect the Matt Barzal contract extension?
No.
I think it does. Right, he's a guy who's valuable to the team. I think it means that, hey, Matty B, you're probably getting around 9.5.
Okay. I'm going to say no.
Stephen S. says here, the Bills offensive coordinator is going to be the highlight reel this week. When I first saw this on TV, I couldn't stop laughing. I figured he was going to go jump through the table like Bills Mafia style.
That would have been funny.
The other coordinator was looking so chill.
Everybody else was.
Yep, everybody was. And Alexander says nobody should ever question Tua's toughness. What Tua did today, coming back from that back injury, was awesome. Yeah, that really was awesome. That back injury he overcame.
Hey, Alexander,
he was shaking around like. Whoa.
Alexander gets to chirp. Alexander gets to chirp again this week.
Hey, man,
they won.
But
I'm just going to tell you, Alexander
has no back injury, man.
It's not going to be like that the whole year. Retribution is coming, my friend.
Oh, Joseph C says Ken Dorsey's noodle arm still on display. Bills got to run the football more than just not with Josh Allen. You can't have Josh Allen throw the ball 63 times. Exactly. Got to be more of a well-balanced team.
You know how Miami could actually be a better team? If Ken Dorsey, with his noodle arm, was the offensive coordinator for Miami, so he could tell Noodles what plays might work and what can't work in his offense.
Speaking from personal experience, the Wicker Man says Tampa will win if they are healthy, Grump, in the playoffs.
True.
And if the fans of Green Bay, who knows what will happen to the Green Bay's defense, has improved. Knows what will happen. Green Bay's defense has improved.
Yeah, Tampa won't lose to Green Bay if they play them again.
Drill said that's like what Baker did with Cleveland. You don't always need to be tough and play through it. I mean, it helped a lot with my fantasy week as well as the Packers, but it's just still, just sit Herbie. Sit down, Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
The Panthers today beat the New Orleans Saints.
Handled them easily, too. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
So that hot take, who the hell was that hot take by that he thought that Jameis Winston was going to be MVP? He said that was his hot take. It was the stupidest take I've ever heard before.
Here's the thing.
I'm all for hot takes, but man, that was just unbelievably dumb.
I'll tell you what. Chris Olave is a really, really good receiver.
So is Michael Thomas.
Yeah, but Chris Olave is special.
Michael Thomas is better than Chris Olave. Fucking stop.
Michael Thomas has been hurt the last 2 years. He can't get down deep. The kid is wide open all the time. Winston just can't get him the ball.
Olave is a fraction of the player that Michael Thomas is. A fucking fraction, Grump.
Maybe a fraction of the player Michael Thomas was.
Michael Thomas is still legit, Grumpy. He is still a legit receiver. He is still a threat and a force to be reckoned with. If Michael Thomas played on a team that had a better quarterback, he would be putting up ungodly numbers again. He's a fantastic target. He's got great catch radius. He still can run the ball downfield, and he's still a talented wideout, Grump. Don't you down talk and talk poorly about Michael Thomas and besmirching his name by even putting him in the sentence of Chris Olave, freaking rookie from Ohio State. Get the hell out of here.
Okay, I'll say it again. If Winston could complete passes, because Olave is wide open, I mean, their offense would be way better, way better. He's not good enough at quarterback. Long story short.
Just he says Jacksonville could be a real sleeper. Nice defense, and Lawrence looks like he's improved significantly. They put some threats around him too.
And here's the thing: the offensive line is better. Trevor Lawrence can play, and he's looked really good.
He's looked confident. He's looked more poised back there in the pocket. Think about that. Think about Trevor Lawrence's production this season with guys like Christian Kirk as wide receiver. And that's the best wide receiver team.
Zay Jones.
Zay Jones was a guy, the old ECU wide receiver, second round pick that was with Buffalo, right? I'm very familiar with Zay Jones. But I mean, like, they're not big name guys. They're not fantastic threats. Christian Kirk, the number 3 guy in Arizona. Okay, fantastic. Christian Kirk, you know what I mean? Like, he played well. I mean, think about it. He's the guy in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, he stepped up in a big way, and I think Trevor Lawrence has looked fantastic.
You know who else looked really good today?
Who?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again.
He got hurt.
Again. That kid's a real deal. That kid's the real deal.
Dan Campbell lost him that game today. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
He did.
Jesus Christ. I like Dan Campbell too, but he lost him that game today.
Players win games.
How many times did he go for it on fourth down and get stopped at like the 50-yard line, and then they go back and respond and score? And then, oh my God, they go ahead and they go for that huge long field goal. I'm like, why? And they just don't hit it.
Just punt it. Just punt it.
Make them drive the ball 90 yards
the field.
downfield and score a touchdown. They need a touchdown at that point, I believe.
They needed a touchdown. Like I said, players win games, coaches lose them.
Alexander says, yeah, but where was Herbert the last 2 years with better weapons than Tua? He didn't do crap. Well, no, he threw for more yards than Tua did with more touchdowns.
His offensive line blows right now. San Diego, the Chargers' offensive line really sucks right now.
And then D-Cut says, hate to say it, but if Josh McDaniels was black, he would never have been given a head coaching job again after his experience in Denver after leaving the Colts, after leaving the Colts at the altar. I don't think it has anything to do with color. He's just not he's not a good offensive coordinator. He's not, I'm sorry. He's a good offensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach.
Yeah,
not a good head coach.
I totally disagree with that. Color has nothing to do with it. The fact that the Denver thing was so long ago, I don't think it hurt him. The thing with the Colts hurt him, though, where he was going to be the head coach there and then he backed out. He never should have accepted the job to begin with when he first talked with Chris Ballard. Ballard wanted to pick his coaching staff, and he said no, and that's what eventually caused him to leave. That and increased salary to go back and coach TB12.
Goldilocks has better weapons and a running game. Tua didn't have. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, like, when you think about the running game for the Chargers,
Goldilocks. Who's Goldilocks? Is that Justin Herbert? Goldilocks, I like it.
Like, Eckler is more of a pass catching back. They don't have a true running back. Ever since Gordon's been gone, they don't have a true running back.
Eckler's a good back, but he's banged up a lot now. He's 26, 27.
Pass catching back. He's not a guy that's physical runner. He's not a guy that's fantastic and earns tough yards and breaks tackles. That's not who he is.
He's a good back.
He's a good back, but he's a much better catching back than he is a running back. Drew L said, I mean, call Henry not a natural pass catcher, but the plan worked. He had 40 yards and a perfect catch rate, even if the catches aren't pretty.
The reason why he's even catching those passes is because no one expects him to go out for a pass. Now people say, okay, somebody's got to keep an eye on him when he rolls out to the side. Then he won't catch any passes. Because if he's confronted at all, he ain't catching the ball.
James F. says 0-3 for the silver and black. Oh, no. Yeah.
Yep.
When do you start going to Kenny Pickett?
Kenny Pickett? Oh, you mean Pittsburgh? Silver and black.
I'm sorry, silver and black, the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders in trouble. Speaking about the black and yellow, when do you think they start looking at Kenny Pickett?
Week 5.
You think so? That early?
Yep.
I mean, Trubisky sucks.
Week 6.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's James. I feel bad for you, man. It's not looking good for the Raiders. I'd say that your likelihood of making a postseason is very low at this point.
Hindsight being 2020, what the Steelers should have done was make a play for Jimmy Garoppolo and then transition Kenny Pickett in after that. That's what they should have done. Because Garoppolo's a veteran now, right? He could help teach Pickett.
Yes. Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky's not teaching you anything except you watch on film, hey, don't do that. I mean, that's the only thing that's being taught with him. So, I guess I kind of look at it that way, right? I mean, a veteran quarterback to help transition, like the Giants did with Kurt Warner when Eli came in.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's how you got to have buy-in from the veteran as well, right? But still, you want a veteran to teach the young guy some ropes. Somebody's had some type of success, some modicum of success.
Yeah. Stephen S. says here, I got tickets to the NHL game in Milwaukee. Thankfully, I kid you not, game was sold out in 30 minutes, man. Good to hear. You have to let them know how it is. Alexander also says, no, they weren't, but the defense came up big when it mattered, stopping Lamar on 4th and 1. Yeah. Here's the thing. Lamar is one of those odd type of quarterbacks for me. I think sometimes he'll play really well, and other times it's just like, what the hell? I'm just kind of confused with he's a guy where if he has to sit in the pocket and throw the football, he's not good.
No, he's the whole offense, though.
Yeah, he is their whole. That's what I'm saying. I'm so conflicted because he's the entire offense, has no weapons, and if he did have weapons, I think his production would be better. He's just one of those odd cases for me.
Okay.
What are you reading, Grumpy? What happened?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Congratulations to United States for the President's Cup. Joseph C says, one positive note from the Jets game was Sauce Gardner. Dude looks like a shutdown quarter. Chase had 25 catches for 25 yards on 10 targets. I'm sorry, 5 catches for 25 yards on 10 targets when Sauce Gardner defended him.
Well, didn't really shut him down.
Well, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd were wide open a lot, and that's what's just like, oof. I mean, like, you know, Cincinnati could not get the run game established. I didn't watch too much of that matchup, but that's good to take note of. Hey, if Sauce Gardner is one of those, if he can have the Revis Island 2.0 over there for the Jets, that's a huge help and a huge plus. Poindexter, yeah, but Poindexter is 3.0.
It's 3-0.
3-0. Sorry, 3-0. D-Cut saying TJ having a millennial hissy fit again. Oh man. You know what? I'm upping it from 50 game suspension to 150 games just for you.
So irrational. You're so irrational.
Alexander says that's fine. The running back was there, but the rule is that you got to get past.
Not on the screen pass. Not on the screen pass. It's got to be somebody in the area.
Yep.
That's if you're just throwing it away where there's no receiver in the area.
Mm-hmm. TJ, sit yourself to DMs. I figure the Zach Hampel haters would get a kick out of it. Zach Hampel.
I don't know who Zach Hampel is.
I can't tell you who that is. Okay. Hold on a second. Here we go. Alexander has sent it to us here. The Football Funnies. It's about a minute and 30 seconds with Phil Simms. Thanks, Alexander, for this. Hold on a second. With a hasty word you can't recall. If I broke your heart last night, it's because I love you most of all.
No.
Okay, here it is. Sorry.
Hey, you ever wonder what they do with it? Phil Simms and Coach Bill Parcells with a little discussion on the sidelines. And you know what they were arguing about? Oh, Phil, tell us. This is what.
Phil moonwalked back to the seat, to the bench.
I don't know. You talked right over, Grumpy. Hold on a second.
Oh, Phil, tell us. This is what.
He said less filling. I said it tastes great.
Okay, gotcha. I wish they wouldn't have talked over, but it's hard. I'll have to find it too. Thanks, Alexander, for sending that to me. I know Grumpy, I'm sure, like that.
I did.
Old Phil Simms action here. Can we talk about how poor Davis Mills played today? My gosh, how do you only hit Cooks twice against the freaking Bears? Dude, man, I'll tell you one thing. Justin Fields looks like he's got bust written all over him. Justin Fields does not look like he's going to be successful.
Second coordinator in 2 years. It takes time. Takes time.
He looks awful.
He's not Trevor Lawrence. I will say that. He's not Trevor Lawrence.
Think about all the quarterbacks that were highly rated in that class. The only ones I even have a smidgen of hope for that they can be successful. Lawrence, obviously, high likelihood, I think. Zach Wilson. Other than that, Mac Jones, I think, is a failure. He's going to be a guy who's an average game manager quarterback at best. I don't have any hope and faith in Trey Lance. I don't have much hope and faith in Justin Fields.
Okay. And Mac Jones was terrible today as well.
Yeah, Joseph C. said he's still better armed than Justin Fields. Fields has nothing around him either. Yeah, Fields, my gosh. I mean, Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery aren't too bad, but not much after that. I know that Montgomery got hurt today too. So
yep. And Khalil Herbert had a big day.
Yeah. Alexander says, yeah, how about the balls that began to throw deep on 3rd and 22? Hold on. What? I mean, like, why would they not throw deep on 3rd and 22?
I mean, you know what? How about the balls and jackassery of 3rd down and 10 from your own 1 going for a pass when the other team had no timeout? So it's just dumb. That's dumb.
Hold on a second here. We'll pull this up. I don't think necessarily it's big balls to do that, but again, I couldn't recall the exact play, so I'm glad you sent this to us here. Let's see.
Again, how many guys in rush?
3-man rush. It's the same trend over and over and over again. Anytime 2 is successful, 3-man.
No
rush.
pressure. You put pressure on him, he just throws the ball up for grabs.
3-man rush.
And one of them was a safety.
How the hell do you allow? Everybody's playing zone. Everybody's playing zone. Look at this shit. You're playing zone coverage on 3rd and 22. And just look at he splits between the safety. Oh, safety in the corner just freaking caught there.
That's a good ball, but I mean, he's had forever. He throws one of those.
It's like a 7-on-7 attempt.
Look at. Whoa! I'm on the moon shots.
It's a nice pass. He hit him right in target, right in stride.
Right in stride.
You can't let a guy get that wide open when you drop 8 in coverage. Sorry. But I mean, it's a hell of a pass. He had all the time back there in the world. Put pressure on.
That drive was 2 plays. Then they got right after that the fictitious
the pass interference. Yeah,
no, not pass interference. The roughing penalty for hitting the defenseless receiver. He barely even touched him.
Okay. Let's get. I want to talk about some other items too. We got a lot of comments here building up, Grumpy. I want to talk about some other items today too that we had on the docket. College football. Did you happen to watch what happened this week? We had a few top tier teams fall to the hands of the lowly this week, Grumpy, for college football.
And a lot of the top teams struggled to win games.
Yep. It's weird. This week was one of those to where it's like your team, any team is a contender and any team could be a fraud all at the same moment. I mean, like you look at Baylor played a close game against Iowa State. Iowa State's played well this season. Michigan only wins by 7 against Maryland. Kent State puts up 22 points against Georgia Bulldogs. I don't think anybody was expecting that.
That game was close too.
Oh yeah, right down until the end. I mean, Penn State took care of business against Central Michigan. Clemson beats Wake Forest in overtime, 51-45. That's right. Tennessee beats the Gators by 5 points right as the clock expires. Minnesota spanks Michigan State, and Minnesota beat them 34-7. I mean, like Oregon, they're ranked 13th in the nation. Don't ask me how. Wins 44-41 against Washington State. Yeah, that's right. Mississippi wins by 7. I'm sorry, they win by 8 against Tulsa. Man, oh man. Freaking Kentucky wins by 8 against Northern Illinois. Texas A&M beats Arkansas by freaking 2. The games were so close. It didn't matter whether they're ranked or not.
Arkansas had that game. They were dominating early on. It's like they went to sleep.
Did you see what happened? This is it's typical. Like, here's the thing. I know, I'm mess up. KJ Jefferson, that's the kid's name, the quarterback. Man, oh man, he just makes the biggest mistakes at the most inopportune times. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that game, but my God, I think we were actually doing our podcast live during that game.
We were.
But I mean, like this right here, they're up 14-7 with 3 minutes and 31 seconds. It is 1st and goal. Arkansas is up by 7. They've had a long drive. And just look at this.
KJ's going to run it again. Diving, fumbles.
He dives from the freaking 3-yard line, the 3rd yard line. He tries to dive into the end zone on 1st and goal and fumbles. Look what happens and look what ensues.
Fumbles the ball and Chappelle's got it.
He's never getting there.
They had the fumble and he handed it off to the next guy as the guy couldn't bring him down.
Why is that
99-yard touchdown or fumble recovery for a touchdown?
To me, that should have been stopped for forward progress.
It's a bad play all around. Why the hell are you jumping from the 3-yard line?
It was from the 4.
Oh, from the 4, you think he starts to jump. My God, bring the guy down.
It should be stopped. It should be stopped there.
It was pretty quick. Bring the guy down.
All right. Yikes. He's okay. This guy's a wide receiver trying to tackle somebody. That's not his skill set. Come on.
Oh, but that happened. And did you see the extra point or the field goal they missed right at the end of the game?
Yeah.
My God. They had a lot of chances, that Arkansas game and that team, but I'm like, it's another one of those games that were right down to the wire. I have never seen a kick missed in the fashion of how they missed this kick, Rump. I mean, like when you talk about how it bounces off the top of the freaking goalpost or top of the the top of the field goal.
Bing.
And it bounces forward.
Oh, well.
Off the very top.
Oh, well.
I've never seen a kick miss like that.
Yeah.
So I was about to say, they lose.
It's pretty tough to hit one to land on top of the post. That's tough.
I was about to say, they lose right at the end there to Texas A&M, and you keep going down the games, right? NC State took care of business. So did Ohio State. So did Alabama. Oklahoma, who's ranked. They were in the top. Were they top 10 at the time period? Loses to unranked Kansas State.
They were number 6. And here's the thing. This is 3 out of 4 years they've lost to Kansas State.
Wow. Wow. That was a home game too. It was in Norman, wasn't it?
I don't know where it was.
I think so. All right. Florida State takes care of business. USC has to have a huge late comeback to beat Oregon State. That USC team looks terrible. My God, they look bad. The Oregon State quarterback threw 3.
You didn't even see the game. You didn't even see the game.
What do you mean I didn't see the game?
You did not see the game.
Oh, what do you mean, Grumpy? The game was on TV. What are you talking about? The game was on
not
TV. Oregon State quarterback threw 3 picks.
Okay, you did not see the game. We were podcasting at the time.
Grumpy, that was a late night game, friend.
All I know is
I'm sorry, 4 picks, 4 interceptions.
Okay.
They beat them 17-14 with the other quarterback throwing 4 picks. Caleb Williams is not a good quarterback. Newsflash, Grumpy. He's not a quarterback that takes them to the promised land. They'll get lucky because they play in a miserable Pac-12. That USC team should have freaking walked all over an Oregon State. Oregon State's quarterback threw 4 picks, Grump.
They
beat
won.
them by 3 on a last
won.
few minute touchdown.
They won.
Ugh.
Here's the only reason you're dumping on USC right now is because I told you he was going to have them in the Final Four within 2 years. And here's the thing. You're starting to get a little sweat going. You're getting a little sweat going right now.
I don't feel any sweat.
They're going to be in the Final Four this year.
Caleb Williams
this year.
And guess what? Jordan Addison. Oh, fantastic Blitnikoff winner. Goes from putting up 100+ yards every game, 30 yards receiving that game.
Scored the winning touchdown.
36 yards receiving. Fantastic. He's really improving his draft stock. All right.
Okay, fans, let me just tell you something. The reason TJ really hates USC is Jordan Addison used to play for University of Pittsburgh. That's TJ's team. And he's been butthurt about it ever since.
Here's the thing. I do not think much of Lincoln Riley as a coach. I think he's a fantastic recruiter. Unbelievable recruiter. I think he's a miserable in-game adjustment coach, and I think he's a miserable play caller. Not good on that side of the ball. And I think that Caleb Williams is not a good quarterback.
So they're 4-0.
They do not play anybody. Who do they beat? God almighty, you going to make us go down this again? Rice. They beat teams like Rice and Oregon State. They barely pulled it off against Oregon State, Grumpy. Woohoo. They got lucky to squeak away with the victory there.
They put more points up the other team. It's not like they scored in the last second.
They scored in the last drive on the last few minutes.
Yeah.
Quarterback threw 4 picks, and they barely squeak out of the game with a 3-point victory. Okay.
So it sounds to me like their defense is getting better.
Oh, is that what it is, huh? Not a shitty quarterback performance. Oh man. But I mean, a lot of really close games. You got what you paid for that week in football action. Now this weekend, we've got a lot of top 25 teams battling it out. The 12 o'clock time period, 12 o'clock noon, number 7 Kentucky against number 14 Mississippi, Grumpy. Old Miss against Kentucky. That is going to be a freaking game. I can tell you that much. You've got Michigan and Ohio and Iowa might be a close game too. I mean, Iowa plays that tough style. You've got Wake Forest against number 22 Wake Forest against number 23 Florida State. Wow. Number 9 Oklahoma State against number 16 Baylor. Number 2 Alabama against number 20 Arkansas. You're going to have a lot of big name teams battling it out there this weekend, Grumpy. And I think we got a lot of top 25 teams battling it out.
Who's USC playing this week?
I don't see their name, Grumpy. Maybe they have it off. Maybe they have a bye this week. Hold on. Yeah, I think maybe they got a bye.
Oh no, Arizona.
Oh, you've also got Clemson, number 5 Clemson against number 10 NC State.
Arizona State.
They're playing the amazing Arizona State new head coach team. They've just got a brand new head coach. Arizona State does. Arizona State is 1-3 to start the season. So another really tough opponent that USC is facing off against. Watch out.
Can only play the teams on your schedule. That's all you can do.
You schedule your teams. So, yeah.
You don't schedule guys in your conference. You don't do that.
You schedule the out-of-conference teams, like the Rices.
Like Fresno State, teams. Like Fresno State, who they beat.
Yeah, Fresno State and Rice. You schedule those teams. Okay. So it's one of those things. If one Pac-12 teams loses
they're taking care of business. They're just taking care of business.
Oh, that's it. They're just taking care of business. They will lose games they're not expected to lose. That's just USC in a heartbeat.
I don't think they're going undefeated. I don't think. Like I said, in 2 years he'll have them in the championship series. It might even be this year. He's just that good. He's good.
Good luck. But man, you look at all the top 25 teams. Let me ask you this. Which game are you most pumped to watch? Because I think that's an important question too, Grumpy. When we're looking at it, right? You've got top 10 matchup, NC State against Clemson.
Both those teams suck.
Both undefeated, but both suck.
I don't care. I'm sorry. Clemson's not that good. Neither is NC State. Nobody cares about Pittsburgh. They managed to win and still fall in the rankings because they blow.
Oh, is that what it is, huh? No,
Yeah.
they don't.
I'm just looking at
against Arkansas. That's
I was going to say that was the game I was looking forward to after the first half of Arkansas, Texas A&M. But then Arkansas goes and shits the bed, which tells me they have no shot to beat Alabama.
Wake Forest against Florida State.
No.
Why you not the Grumpy? Both teams are Florida State or Wake Forest does
they're both crappy teams. Also, I like good football.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All the ACC teams have crappy teams, huh? Yeah, it's cute.
Yes,
cute.
Pretty much. Clemson's not what they were a couple of years ago, and the rest of the conference is just black.
That freshman Cade is a hell of a player. I don't remember his name, but that freshman quarterback for Clemson is a hell of a ball player. He's better than DJ Uiagalelei already. Oklahoma State against Baylor, number 9 against number 16. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's all you got. And you got top 25 matchup again, Kentucky against Mississippi State or Mississippi Grump. Who are you looking forward to the most out of this?
I'm not really looking forward to anyone at this time. It's a bounce around game week for me. Because there's no rivalry games or anything like that. We still don't know who's who for the most part. We will in the next couple of weeks. We'll know who's who. But for me, it's a bounce around. I'll watch a whole bunch of different games, and whichever one is close, that's the one I'll watch. It's not like Ohio State, Michigan. Okay, that's the one I have to watch. Or, Texas, Oklahoma. That's the one I have to watch. I mean, Texas lost this week in a game they never should have lost.
Well, let me switch gears here before we get back to comments here. Texas is not a good team. I mean, they're sneaky good at times, and they might be able to punch above their weight. But man, oh man, that was a loss they shouldn't have had. Now, Albert Pujols joins the 700 home run club. Let me ask you, where does Pujols rank amongst these all-time MLB greats? I would assume number 4, doesn't he? Out of these, we're talking about Babe Ruth, Albert Pujols, Barry Bonds, and Willie Mays.
Yeah, is there any question to that?
He's still got the 700 home runs.
Yeah, of the 4 guys, he's number 4 for certain. Babe Ruth is number 1. Sorry, Babe Ruth's number 1.
Better than Barry Bonds.
Absolutely. Barry Bonds number 2, Hank Aaron number 3, and then Pujols.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said Willie Mays. I meant to say Hank Aaron. Thank you, Grumpy, for the correction. But Pujols is
Hank Aaron. Okay, you hit 700 home runs, you're doing something right?
Yeah.
I'm not putting Hank Aaron down. The ballparks that he played in were tailor-made for his swing. So he got a lot of home runs that Willie Mays did not get. Willie Mays, if he was on this list, number 2. Under Babe Ruth is number 1.
How many career home runs did Willie Mays have?
660, I believe. He played in the freaking Polo Grounds.
Yeah. Was it 410 to center or something?
511 feet.
Wow.
And then he played in Candlestick Park with the winds blowing off the bay. Willie Mays was tremendous. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for the player he was. Played for the Giants. If he played for the Yankees, you'd be talking about him as the greatest player of all time.
Willie Mays was an all-star from 1954 until 1973, every single year. 19 years in a row, all-star guy.
He was tremendous. He was spectacular. So good. Could do everything. Great outfielder. Tremendous base runner. Everything. 5-tool player.
Yeah.
I think that might even have been when they invented the term, was because of Willie Mays. He was spectacular. Like I said, if he hadn't played in, I'll say the same thing about, other guys back in the day. It's not like today where you have these ballparks where, 400 feet to center field is a long way. That's not the way it was back in the day. Like I said, it was like 511 feet to center field at the Polo Grounds. And even when they played in Yankee Stadium for a while, it's like, those fields were built for football, so it's like, kind of a funny build, the way those stadiums were built. So, I mean, it's not like today where it's just baseball only parks.
Baseball only parks. Well, I do want to go ahead and ask you though. I mean, do you ever think we're going to see any sort of, I kind of asked you this at the top of the hour. Do you think we're ever going to see any scrutiny towards Albert Pujols over potential steroid use? And I would say that, right? We could say everybody used at that time period. I'd say that there was a high likelihood that probably Albert Pujols used as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't think
everyone did it. Everyone did it. I don't have a problem with it either. I just don't like how they vilify certain guys who popped up on, some random report somewhere, where they let other guys like David Ortiz who are on the same report, but they get a pass because they're liked. I mean,
I feel like Albert Pujols is liked as well. So he's a guy that's not going to mar his name. It's not going to drag his name through the mud because they like him.
Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge Rodriguez, same thing.
Yep.
Likeable guy, gets in the Hall of Fame, absolutely on steroids. Absolutely.
Yep. Joseph C says that Bears offensive line is dog shit, though. Yeah, they are miserable. Wickerman says, TJ, he might not, and I don't think he did have a concussion, too, what we're talking about. He was a little wobbly, but it doesn't mean it's a concussion. Brady forgot it was 4th down last year, Grumpy.
True. Actually, it was 2 years ago, not last year. And it was against the Bears.
When the way he was walking off, like, you don't walk off and your legs collapse from underneath
Absolutely.
you. If you got the wind knocked out of you, you don't stand up. If your back was hurt, you're like, I'm in excruciating back pain. I'm laying down on the ground and it's not like you pop up and you say, all righty, I'm good to go. And you're shaking your head like this and you go, whoa, and your feet just collapse underneath you. You start walking again. Somebody holds up you, whoa, your feet collapse underneath you. That's not a back injury.
Okay. Back in the day, you know what they used to call it? He got his bell rung.
Yeah,
that's what they said. He's got his bell rung.
He had his bell rung, which is a concussion that we know.
It's from the bing. That's what happens when you get lit up. You got your bell rung. Yeah. Where, that happened to him. In today's modern NFL, that's concussion. Absolutely. Back in the day, no one even considered.
Play on. I was about to say.
Yep.
Drew L says Deebo Samuel might be hurt. He got headhunted. No penalty too. Do you remember? Speaking of headhunters, do you remember the Saints team that used to pay players incentives to injure other players? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They used to have. When the hell was that? What season was that?
Buddy Ryan did it when he was with the Eagles. Greg Williams did it when he was with New Orleans as a defensive coordinator. Oh yeah. They have that. That shit goes on. It's just if it ever sees the light of day.
Bounty Gate. That's what it was called. It was a Bounty Gate. Yeah, Bounty Ball. Yeah, my God.
And Sean Payton got suspended also.
Oh man.
I think for a year.
Headhunting. Guilty of headhunting. Oh man, that's right. That takes me back. My God, that was a long time ago. I hadn't thought about that in a long time until I saw Headhunted. Gungun says, has any umpire in MLB history been as piss poor as Angel Hernandez?
Ask Jacob deGrom.
What?
Jacob deGrom was really pissed off at Angel Hernandez yesterday.
I didn't know that. What did he say, Grumpy? Tell me.
He was very, very upset. I don't know what he said.
I
don't know what he said. I don't know what he said. He got into it with them on the field. I have no idea what he said.
I'll let you listen to it then.
What was your exchange with Angel in the first? I told him I thought those were strikes, and then I went and looked, and I told him going back out in the second that he had them right. So, that's on me. Yes, I would have liked to have them, but I looked and they were balls.
Okay. We'll pull up here. Okay. Well, I guess it was a little anticlimactic.
When you're a shitty umpire, you get questioned like that. If you're an umpire who has an impeccable reputation, you don't get questioned on those.
Mm-hmm.
You see deGrom talking to Angel, telling him those pitches are not down.
See, this guy, the problem with this guy is he's confrontational. That's the problem with this guy. He thinks it's about him. That's what makes him.
I fucking cannot stand his ass just because he thinks he's so big and the reason they don't want me to progress is because I'm Hispanic descent. I'm like, dude, you're the worst fucking umpire in the league.
The problem with him is he's not a great umpire and he's confrontational. Umpires they're just part of the scenery. He thinks he's part of the game. He's not. Umpires are not part of the game. If you know an umpire's name, guess what? That umpire's failing.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. Oh my god. I love the pictures because people immediately pop this shit up. Like Hernandez, they'll say like, "Oh, he was worried that he was squeezing the plate while he called this a strike against Mark Hanna." This little number 4 right here, well outside, up and outside, called a strike against him. I mean, it's just one of those things where he is a miserable umpire. He's a miserable umpire.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
Ball was well out. Is definitely okay. I mean, Alexander, he had the running back there on the screen within in range. Brian Flores would still be coach if Herbert was the quarterback for the Dolphins. Drew L says absolutely he would be.
He knew.
Alexander says, "Teacher, I question your football assessment."
Oh,
that's fine. You can question it at the end of the year. There's nothing to question because it's not wrong. Alexander says, "Yeah, I saw that. It was awesome." And Andrew L says here, "I definitely needed Garrett Wilson, or they definitely needed Garrett Wilson. You can tell he's going to be an elite wide receiver. Something they've been lacking for a while. But hey, they've been lacking everything."
True that.
Mm-hmm. He's a big piece, but man, oh man, do they need an offensive line help, right? This next draft, offensive line's the first position off the board. Tackle's the first position you're looking for. Alexander sent a big one. He says, if you don't have the weapons, you're not going to succeed. Tua had Waddle last season, and that's it. And it was in his rookie year. He had no weapons. I will tell you one thing about rookie wide receivers. You've seen a lot, at least as of late, you've seen a lot of them be really successful, i.e. Justin Jefferson, i.e. Jamar Chase. You've seen a lot of them recently be really successful off the bat.
It is so it's probably the easiest position to come right in and play. All you got to know is how to run a route.
Yep, and know the playbook.
That's it. It's one-on-one.
Tight end is the toughest to immediately come in and be successful. There's a lot more.
Offensive line is tough too. Offensive line is difficult. A quarterback, of course, is the toughest.
QB, yeah. Alexander said in his rookie year, he had no weapons. But yet people with the Tua hate, I don't know what Tua needs to do to prove that he's more of he has to prove to be a franchise quarterback. Justin Herbert had weapons since coming into the league, and he had better coaching. And running Tua hasn't had shit until Flores sabotaged him, and now he's thriving. He's looking better than what he's been in the last 2 years, and there's still hate. It pisses me off. I mean, like when you see like with numbers today against Buffalo, 180 yards passing with a touchdown.
2 of them 75 yards on 2 plays.
Does that when you say, okay, I'm not going to do like, oh, I'm going to cherry pick plays away. He threw for under 200 yards and a touchdown. That's not good. That's not good performance.
On a team that had a decimated defense.
Fantastic weapons offensively. Like a win's a win, right? I cannot understand when people put him in the same breath as Justin Herbert. I really don't. Anytime I see that, I just go, yikes. I can't. It's hard for me to fathom. I'm sorry, man. I just don't see it. But I still love you guys. I love you too, Alexander. I just don't see it. I do not see him being a successful quarterback. Herbert, his first year in the league, had better weapons than Tua, right? I'm not going to disagree with that.
To me, he's like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's like a modern day Jimmy Garoppolo. He can win regular season games. He's not going to win you playoff games, though. Just not going to happen. His arm isn't good enough. Flat out, his arm isn't good enough. That's the only thing I have about him. His arm isn't good enough.
Joel said, dude, Russ is actually looking good again. WTF? Well, maybe it just took him a while to click and he didn't play any of those preseason games. I don't know. I'm not watching it right now, but I'll be interested to turn it on after we get done. Drew L said, TJ and Grump, I'll have to make it.
They're losing 7-3 in the third quarter. I don't know how good he could possibly be looking. You want to know why I know? He's on all my fantasy teams. He's got 4.2 fantasy points. He blows. Like I said, I was distressed when I watched that first game, that Monday night game against Seattle. What did I say, TJ? I'm like, he's not the same guy.
Yeah.
He's just not the same guy.
Drew says here, yep, he said, I got a confession to make. I don't mind being 1-2 missing the playoffs in your league. If that happens, it'll be the first time it's ever happened to me in fantasy.
It's a long way to go, fantasy.
I was about to say, man, it's early on. Alexander said, you also forget the stadium, the visiting team sits in the sun. Yeah, dude. Yep. He says about 75 to 85 degrees in October.
There you go. What did I say? 80, right? I said 80.
Mid-80s, yeah.
80.
Drill said TJ John Gruden career record with the Raiders during his tenure was like 500. They had to get the right pieces around too. But like when John Gruden was done, he had finally formed the team the way he wanted to, and they were a more successful team. Remember, they had the freaking Antonio Gates debacle, or I'm sorry, the Antonio Brown debacle too, which didn't help put everything in the right direction. The last time they tried to add an elite level wide receiver, and I mean, like you can't say the Raiders have struggled due to not trying. That's for certain. And what's up, Frank? How are you? Is Bieniemy the enemy?
Chris Berman used to say, Eric sleeping with Bieniemy. I don't even know if you could say that anymore because there was a movie with Julia Roberts years ago called Sleeping with the Enemy. So we used to call it Sleeping with Bieniemy.
I'll let you read this one here, Rumpy.
No way. Were the Bengals losing today? Franklin Myers roughing the passer and Font going down, giving the Jets their fourth string left tackle playing sealed the loss. Again, I'm going to say it again. Mm-hmm. They should have drafted an offensive tackle with the number 4 pick in the draft. That's what they should have done. You have to protect your quarterback. Most important thing. I'm not saying you don't need cornerbacks, but quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. If you can't keep your guy healthy so he can perform, you're not winning games, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, you've got to make sure a quarterback has time in the pocket. That's when they play well. And Alexander says, I love how Tony Romo just narrates this. Dude, Tony Romo is fantastic in the role that he serves. Absolutely he is. Drew L says, I have to admit, it's hard to hate somebody who has the voice of Kermit and is your star quarterback, a.k.a. Mahomes.
He seems like a genuinely nice guy.
It's like the same thing with Russell Wilson. I've always liked Russell Wilson because he seems like a nice guy. Yeah. Like if people seem nice, good, I'm rooting for him.
Have you seen the new Peyton Manning commercial?
Dude, I was going to tell you about this last time, but we got kind of hung up. Have you seen Peyton Manning and Eli Manning has been doing like these little skits to where he'll go to different colleges and he does like one, like he went to Penn State and he did like as a walk-on. It was really entertaining. It was about a 15-minute long clip speaking about Peyton and Eli. I'll tell you, the value that they're going to add after their NFL careers is far more than what they added in their NFL careers because they're both funny individuals and they both can laugh at themselves.
That's it. That's in a nutshell. Not afraid to laugh at themselves.
Yep.
Now, Brady's trying to do that.
He's not. He's a robot when it comes to that shit.
I just don't think it comes natural to him. The Peyton Manning, it's an NFL Plays commercial, 30 seconds. And you're going to see it all month. So, no reason to describe it here. But again, Peyton Manning makes me laugh and chuckle when the way he delivers certain lines. He's just really good at it. So I can't wait for you to see the commercial. It's good.
They dressed Eli Manning up and they made him like he was a freshman trying to walk on the school and the campus. And an old quarterback I played with, Danny O'Brien, was there. I forgot he's quarterback or he's one of the assistant coaches there helping out at Penn State now.
Didn't you almost get him killed once?
I did almost get Danny O'Brien murdered once.
Did you watch out?
I said, Danny, and he just got fucking tattooed. But yeah, it was one where he's talking about, it was a funny little clip. I enjoyed it more probably because I knew Danny too. And I was like, I enjoyed watching Eli as well through it. It was a little funny bit. It's like 15 minutes. I'll send it to you afterwards, Grumpy, but It's something you got to watch. If you guys haven't watched it, watch the Eli Manning goes to Penn State. I mean, James Franklin tries to ruin it with his nonsense. No, it's not me being biased. It's a Pittsburgh fan.
You hate James Franklin. You've always hated James Franklin.
Is a shitty coach, a good recruiter.
When TJ hates somebody, it doesn't matter what they do. He carries a grudge forever. He's not able to look past it. He's not.
Frank says NFL is rigged. The money. No way the Chiefs lose that game. And Cole sounds like way too much like he sucked without his spider tack. Oh, Garrett Cole.
Yep.
And Frank says, I bet Barzal gives Islanders a discount, like $7-8 million to help the Islanders out. I don't think so.
That's not happening.
He's making $7 million a year now. I don't think he's taking the same exact amount.
Yeah.
No way.
No.
Grump, the noodle arm, yet look at that great pass to Waddle.
Hey, even the sun shines on a noodle twice a day.
Oh, I like that one.
Once a day.
Once a day.
He doesn't have a good enough arm.
I gotta admit that bad contract of Kirk isn't really looking bad now in a way. Jacksonville could have gotten him for so much cheaper. Christian Kirk.
I guess Jacksonville figured to get anybody to go there, they had to wildly overpay.
They've got to get somebody's foot in the door first to say, "Hey, we're a team that has a winning culture. We could, we're building something special here. Come and join us."
You knew he was going to be their number one, but it's the maturation of Trevor Lawrence, having a legit NFL head coach in there, and Doug Peterson. And I still think he's a little bit of a boob, but he's always been good for quarterbacks. And I think Trevor Lawrence, watch out. He's doing pretty good so far this year.
James F said, "Did you guys pull up the butt punt?" I was about to say it's definitely funny to watch.
They said in 13-year career he only had one punt blocked. Well, he still only had one punt blocked. They're lucky that didn't pop up in the air where they could have recovered it for a touchdown.
Absolutely. They went out the end zone. They got very fortunate there. Absolutely. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, though. And my sleeper is Detroit. No way. I like Dan Campbell. Detroit just can't get out of their own way. Here's the thing. Jamal Williams, they keep feeding the ball to that. I mean, you got give DeAndre Swift the fucking ball.
He was hurt. That's why I told you. He was injured. He's been injured. He's had an ankle injury since week 1, and he's been playing through it. That's what I mean. You game plan around if a guy is sick or if he's injured. Your game plan alters. Jamal Williams had a great game this week, a really good game. DeAndre Swift is the real deal if he could just stay healthy. That's the key for him, just staying healthy. But they obviously, when they knew that he was going to be limited, they changed it.
D-Cut said Adam Pellick finally buzzed down his hair. Get the hint. Get the hint, TJ.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. And Druell said Steelers fans really despise that new offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. Matt Canada is the new offensive coordinator for the Steelers. Holy shit. Matt Canada used to be the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Panthers, and then he went to LSU and failed out there. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know he was the new offensive coordinator. Apparently, Canada's philosophy is target the sidelines of the field. If not, oh well then. Target the side of the field. If not, oh well then.
Okay, here's the thing. He doesn't have a quarterback.
Kenny Pickett,
quarterback right
Kenny
now.
Pickett wasn't off.
Okay.
Matt Canada was, I believe, the offensive coordinator when Kenny Pickett was there for 1 year, I think. So he does have familiarity.
Right now, he doesn't have a quarterback on the field. That's just fact.
I'm just saying for Matt Canada, I'm just saying, okay, that makes sense now, too. He has a relationship. He's worked with Kenny Pickett before in the past. Frank says Jimmy G gets gets disrespected. He's worth a lot more than most realize. And he's a really good starter who semi-carried his team to a Super Bowl. He deserves way more respect. WTF. No, he didn't carry his team to the Super Bowl. He got carried to the Super Bowl by a good running game, a great offensive line, good weapons, and a fantastic defense.
He only throws the ball 5 or 6 yards down the field tops.
And also by Aaron Rodgers choking that game away.
Yeah.
When the Green Bay Packers lost to the 49ers, I'm like, how the hell did this happen?
And he shit the bed last year.
Yep.
He throws the interception. I mean, he's not a guy who's going to win you a championship. He's not. He's a good quarterback. He's serviceable, but he's not a winner. Just isn't. He's a regular season guy and a good regular season guy.
Druell said, I do have to say one player who's been spectacular that no one's talking about is Tyler Conklin. He might have been the most targeted or second most targeted player on the Jets, minus Garrett Wilson.
That's who Joe Flacco likes to see as that little safety net in Tyler Conklin.
Druell said, TJ, in all honesty, TJ would look better with a hair transplant.
Wow.
Druell, I like the way you look. I guarantee it. TJ sort of looks like a gymnast. I don't even know what that means because I do not have the body of a gymnast. D-Cut says, more and more, it seems the media got it totally wrong, giving Frank Reich all the credit for the Eagles Super Bowl. Doug Peterson is turning around the Jags after that drunk Urban Meyer almost ruined Trevor Lawrence.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Anthony R says here, Lance, Fields, and Jones are all busts. I don't have high hopes for Zach Wilson, even though I am a Jets fan.
Okay.
The Jets coaching sucks. They need to fire them or they're going to kill Wilson's development.
Okay. It's a little early to call guys busts.
I don't think so. I think that I think Mac Jones is a game manager. He is a very low ceiling, a very high floor. This is what he is. Justin Fields, yikes. He is just ugh. Don't have much.
It's his second whole system in 2 years. It's tough when you got to learn new systems all the time. And it's not like they ran a real pro style offense in Ohio State.
You know what? It reminds. Maybe I have a Chicago Bears bias, because when's the last time the Bears have had a legitimate quarterback?
Jim McMahon.
I mean, like, I was about to say, even when Jay Cutler was there, Jay Cutler was up and down, real up and down. He was like a Kirk Cousins almost, real up and down.
Rex Grossman got him to a Super Bowl.
I know. Trust me. Ugh, trust me. Just teach it. It just shows you don't have to be a good quarterback to help your team get to a Super Bowl. You just have to not screw up. Gungun says, bloody blokes, what is the best flavor of ice cream? Rocky Road, mint chocolate chip, or cookie dough? Rocky freaking Road. Not even a debate. Rocky Road with some magic or hard shell on top. With some whipped cream and some sprinkles. Oh, yeah, buddy. That's the best type.
Okay.
What do you got, Grumpy?
I don't even know. I don't like mint chocolate chip. I don't even know what's in Rocky Road.
It's like vanilla with a whole bunch of nice chocolate mixed in. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
Just vanilla with chocolate in there?
It's set like a chocolate chips. Imagine it's like streaks of delicious chocolatey goodness. Hold on. Let me pull up a picture of it for Rocky Road.
All right. It's not that important.
It is very important, Grumpy.
TJ had no problem identifying the ice creams, though, did he?
Oh, man. That's about to say, of course, Grumpy. Come on now. I don't like the ones with chocolate Rocky Road. No, but what are you a fan of, Grumpy?
I'd probably pick cookie dough.
Okay, fair enough.
Of those, I won't take the mint chocolate chip. I absolutely won't. I've never had Rocky Road. I'm not really a big ice cream eater, to be honest with you.
Bullshit. You used to like ice cream. You used to love ice cream. What are you talking about?
I never ate a whole lot of ice, just chocolate. But never a whole lot. I never ate a whole lot of chocolate. It'd be like for making malts and stuff.
It's got a whole bunch of this deliciousness.
Are there like peanuts and stuff in there?
No, I don't think so. There's no peanuts on Rocky Road.
It looks like shit. Looks like something my dog crapped out.
You've got a dog now, huh?
No. If I had a dog.
It says Clemson's very overrated. I like Dabo, but they aren't as good this season. I think, I was about to say, I think they're better than last year, but I don't think they're as good as their ranking is. They're a team that's probably should honestly be around 15, 16.
True.
Gungun says, I think Peter Frampton, Donnie and Marie, or Richard Marks would have been a better Super Bowl halftime performer than just announced Rihanna. Yeah, I was about to say Rihanna is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime, Grumpy.
Who cares?
You know what I do when the Super Bowl halftime's on?
Probably
shit.
probably go eat piss for the 8th time and 9th and 10th times.
Sure, that's what it is. Frank says Wilson is really good as long as he stops trying to force the ball. Talking about Zach Wilson. James F says Penn State is 4-0. I know. Gungu says last night's most hated NHL player. How about Dave Schultz, Darcy Tucker? After that vicious Islanders playoff, Potvin to the Rangers fans, and Billy Smith to the Oilers fans in 1983.
We don't care about any other teams. I think it was a personal preference on who we thought was the dirtiest or the most. I don't think it was even most hated. I think it was our most hated players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not going to have been Potvin or Billy Smith. Absolutely not. For me, Bobby Clark.
Bonds shouldn't be put, or Bonds, and who's that?
Pujols.
Pujols should not be put in the same sentence with Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, and Ted Williams. And I can go on. And yes, grumpy old man, Willie Mays.
Yeah, he was something else.
Willie Mays Hayes. And I don't mean Willie Mays Hayes, Grumpy.
Neither do I.
Willie Mays' brother, Willie Mays Hayes, might have been the better brother, perhaps. But
just like
Brent Lindros.
Brent Lindros was the better brother of the Eric Lindros family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's great. And Jumpin' Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle, all those guys were skinny except the great Babe, but none of them were on the juice. pure amazing hitters that, that today's guys and steroid era guys could compare to. I missed a bunch.
True.
Man, I sent you a goal.
Everyone's on something now. Everyone's on something.
I don't have it, Drew. If you send that to me, make sure you send it to the right Twitter because I didn't see it. And Renee is another unhinged millennial. Who's Renee? I don't know.
I don't know who Renee is.
What are you looking up there, Grumpy?
I'm trying to look to see if I can figure out who Renee is.
Okay, cool. What a film said, good evening, gentlemen. Been watching the Oilers, hoping for a berth in the playoffs. Typical Islanders fan, hoping for something. And
I think he's talking about Alexander.
Oh, God. Jesus. D-cut. No. Yeah, I mean, what's up? What a films? How are you doing though? What's up, Sean? He says here, hoping for something though. Islander season right around. I have to admit, the best names in sports are baseball players. The O's brought up a kid, Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar, how cool is that? Cookie dough, for sure. No mint. Oh man. Drew L says here, Urban Meyer's new nickname should be Captain Grinder. Ugh.
That girl was grinding up on him pretty good. His niece. Wasn't it his niece?
No, some random girl at the bar. D-Cut says here, James Franklin is the only coach who can ruin Drew Aller. As a Penn State fan, I would have advised him to run as far away as the bum Franklin is far away from that bum Franklin as possible. I tell you, Franklin's not a good coach, Grumpy. He is a great recruiter, unbelievable recruiter, head coach, game time coach. No,
I think he's pretty good.
Great recruiter. That's what it is, man. College is, can you recruit? If you can recruit and get the best players there, that's half the battle. Player development is the other half. Okay. Player development is a quarter, and then what you do on the field regarding game time adjustments is the other quarter. But
okay.
Man, Grump, we're here at the end of the show today. What do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and a grumpy old man.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to the show. We'll be with you guys here this next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking a lot about the world in sports. I'm sure there'll be plenty that happens. Monday Night Football. Oh, the Giants against the Cowboys, Grumpy. That should be a good one. But thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. And thank you again, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.
Oh, D-Cut says, fun show, boys. Thanks there, D-Cut. Absolutely. Thanks for the kind words. We'll see you guys, though, this next Thursday, 9 p.m.
Go G-Men.